shooting the shit for 2 hours, drinking beer and talking beer. What a wonderful experience.
Can we not have the barf bucket near my mixing board?
I think everybody could read the book.
I knew you were going to use this book as an excuse to quit doing this show.
Mrs. Bub, if you want, I can mail you the Bub Timer.
Yeah, Newcastle, especially in the can. Have you ever had it in the can? No, I have not had it in the can.
Notice I closed my eyes and I concentrated really hard.
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Session. I'm your host today, Justin Crosley. Good to be back in the studio after a fun week off at HomebrewCon, the National Homebrewers Conference, is where we were. Well, where Bevo and I were, anyway. Everybody wondered where the hell everybody else was. I was like, they have lives now. It's just Bevo and I that don't.
Cool.
We had a great time. It was a good week out there. We had a good party. Our 14th anniversary party, which was at Fett Music Hall.
I saw the little video of the School of Rock kids.
The School of Rock kids came and played. They rocked. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
I will say this. It was a little awkward when they first came out.
Uh-oh.
Well,
They were good looking, and everyone was like, I don't know what to do right now.
kind of that.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
So here's the thing. Like, it was years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know, not that long ago, where the School of Rock kids played at our party in Philadelphia, and they just rocked. It was just awesome, right? And so I didn't want to hire a band like for the whole party this time because it's not really that kind of crowd. We have other stuff to do.
Right.
I just needed like a short one, and I was like, oh, I'll just see if these School of Rock kids are available again. And there was a local chapter.
Sure.
But I feel like the climate has changed a little bit. Like, men are a little more uncomfortable with how to act around anybody.
Oh.
And so they came out on stage, and, you know, they're like, I don't know, between 11 and 14, you know?
Perfect.
And, you know, one of the singers is like a young girl in like a skirt. And I'm not saying anything provocative, just a young. And anyway,
Being observative.
I can look. I'm looking around me, and I can tell that nobody knows what to do for a second. They're like, and I'm feeling awkward. I'm like,
yeah.
well, what did I choose the wrong crowd? Because it's 99%, you know, men. Although, let me add, I'm feeling like 97% men with children, and like, so I'm not saying anyone's a creeper. I'm saying they were concerned about looking like a creeper.
Exactly.
That's the big worry.
So, and the band started off a little nervous, too. They were a little rough, like the first song.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm, like, trying to lead the pack here. I'm, like, cheering. I'm like, come on, guys. And, okay, by song 3, the kids are just rocking.
Okay.
And everyone's rocking with them. Everyone, like loosened up and was like, oh, it's okay to cheer and to...
It's okay to
be a guy in this room listening to great music.
It's fine to celebrate the rocking because it's in the name. If they didn't want us to cheer on rocking, it wouldn't have the word rock in the name of the band, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
But I'm telling you, I could feel it. It was palpable. And they needed me to let them know it's okay, guys. We're not creeps by cheering on these great musicians.
Right. Yeah.
Like these talented kids.
Yeah, well, you had to take over because Epstein was gone. So you had to step in and say, guys, it's fine. Trust me. Everything's going to be fine.
There's nothing wrong here.
Do you think that was their normal crowd?
No.
I think their normal crowd is
not even close.
Like their teachers and shit.
Yeah, I'm sure their normal crowd is like parents and stuff, but not like a bunch of beer drinking dudes, you know.
Yeah.
But everybody was cool and respectful, and then, like I said, by the third song in, they're like blowing everybody's mind. But at this point, now I've got everybody coming up to me going, you made the best decision ever. This band is great. I've never been so entertained. They're so talented. And that went. They only played for like an hour, and that went on for the next hour. But I was so relieved because I was like, is everyone so nervous about how to act around people
Are you
now?
Sure that was that not in your own head? Were you having those? Was that your own voice?
Bevo.
Absolutely not. No, it was uncomfortable. Like again,
It
they
was
started
palpable.
off a little bad, not bad, but it was a little painful. And that shut up. It's true. But then they got really good, and still people were kind of like,
yeah.
See, we had.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
We had. That's weird. Wow. We had the School of Rock kids for one of our anniversary parties at down there on 563 2nd Street.
Yeah.
And it rocked. It was amazing. People had a great time. In fact, I think the cops came because they were outside in our beer garden, which is in the alleyway there, and it was full lap. Cops showed up. Everybody had a great time.
Yeah.
Nobody felt weird.
See, and that's how it was the last time they played. But
the neighbors just called the cops. Somebody said it's too loud, so they just a guy came by and that was it.
I'm telling you that things have changed in 6 years.
Yeah, but I'm trying to understand that you can't clap your hands to
you can,
somebody singing.
and everyone was fine with that. But I just think that the climate is a little more sensitive now, and people don't know what to do. They don't want to be too creepy, or are they creepy if they're cheering? So it wasn't until, like I said, like the band warmed up and they were really rocking, and then I kind of was like exuberantly cheering them on, like, "Oh my God, I'm loving this."
So you were the creep.
That everyone was.
I think you were
it.
raising the creepy bar, so that way everyone's just like, well, we're at least not as creepy as Justin is right now.
Yeah. Right. So I made them feel comfortable, basically.
I like that about you.
But Bev, I know. See, and you're not even supposed. This is what I mean. You're not even supposed to talk about this. You're not supposed to mention that middle-aged men felt uncomfortable with like kids, females performing to them, but they did. I know they did, and they felt that way just because they just didn't know it was okay yet to just have fun and relax.
Was it just typical like awkward beer festival folk?
Yes.
That you sometimes see.
Yeah, but that's not what was happening.
But that's not what it was.
Right.
He's absolutely right.
I want to see the video.
It was a thing.
And we're going to the video.
And also,
And
I feel like
problem-
I'm allowed to say the girl, the main singer, she was like 16. She was not 14, and she was cute.
And so I just think people felt awkward.
Okay.
And the fact that even this conversation is uncomfortable to you is my point. Like,
I'm not uncomfortable at all.
I'm talking to our listeners right now.
I was uncomfortable for a moment, then I got into it.
His cheeks are still blush right now.
I'm telling you that some of our listeners are uncomfortable right now, and I could sense it a little bit in here. And this is my point. It's people are uncomfortable even talking about this stuff now, and I'm just like, why? Like, this is part of the problem that nobody communicates anymore. Anyhow. It wasn't that big of a deal. It took 3 songs, but I'm telling you, for 3 very long songs, I was like, "Fuck, what did I do?" Like I ruined this party. Everyone's gonna stand here awkwardly all night long.
Our next song is the theme to Lolita, and it goes like this: and a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, exactly.
What about the parents that are letting their daughter dress like that?
Ankles in public?
Yeah, right. Yeah, where's your veil?
Yeah, fat Hall, more like fed up Hall.
So it turned out great. In the end, everyone ended up saying it's one of the best parties we've ever had. We drank them out of house and home. They had like we were down to Blue Moon, and I don't know what was. They were like I don't know, halfway through. They're like, we're out of beer.
Whoa.
And I was like, well, who the fuck did that?
Right.
You guys didn't order more beer. They're like, well, it is what it is. What do you want to do? And I was like, well, where's all the beer that you took off tap to put my beer on tap? Mm-hmm. Well, that's here. Do you want us to do that? Well, fuck yeah.
Right.
It's 2 hours into a 4-hour party, and I'm going to go tell these people we're out of beer?
I'd rather drink Blue Moon than water.
Yeah. So luckily there's a few craft selections in there in whatever they took off tap, some locals. And then they just went through whatever else. So at the end, the owner, he's like, wow, so you guys drink. I was like, well, it was all you can drink. I kind of told you that.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it's a beer festival. These are beer people.
Yeah, they're beer people for sure. But it was just a great party. Everyone there was very cool. It was a lot of fun. I think even Bevo might have had fun for the first time in years.
I did have fun. I had a great time. I also drank rum, so there was that.
There was a full bottle too. So at the end of the
rum.
I think rum.
I'll buy myself.
Now, the only local experience we got to have, because you know how it goes, we're stuck at the conference the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Cool experience.
But when the party was over, a couple of fans took us out for wieners.
Okay.
They're not hot dogs.
No.
They're wieners.
Okay.
Wieners.
Wieners. Oh, with an A.
They're
And
wieners.
coffee milk.
Wieners and coffee milk.
Oh, shit.
I
had no idea.
And wieners are basically hot dogs, but then done like a special way, like I think it's called like a
all the way
or 4-way.
Or it's not called. First of all, it's not called a 4-way.
Maybe I was
like you would order 4 wieners all the way.
4 wieners all the way, and all the way means they just put like everything on it,
and a mountain of onions.
And it's like onions and ground beef type of thing.
I think.
I'm looking at it right now. The traditional wiener is made is a small, thin hot dog made of beef, veal, and pork.
Okay, that sounds about right.
It tastes different than a traditional beef hot dog. Served in a steamed bun and topped with celery salt, yellow mustard, chopped onions, and a seasoned meat sauce.
Yeah,
that's it.
The spices vary by vendor, but always include celery salt and commonly include cumin, paprika, chili powder, and allspice. It kind of sounds really gross.
And they cram 4 into one
You would have
bun?
loved it, JP. First of all, the experience is like a local food, and then they were actually delicious.
And you sit down in the booth, and then the guy behind the counter just yells at you.
He just hollers at you. How many? 4 all the way? 4 all the way? Oh, 2 halfway. 2 halfway, 4 all the way. Got it.
Jeez. That sounds crazy. Apparently, it was the Rhode Island product and preparation has evolved in the Greek community.
Oh, there you
Providence.
go.
So you guys are welcome for the culinary experience of the islands.
And you said it was gross.
Yeah, well,
Sound
look,
good.
I wasn't wrong either way.
Okay, it was delicious.
Okay.
But
all right.
30 minutes later, I was in trouble.
Yeah, it went all the way. That's why they call it all the way, baby.
It was like, we have to go.
Which I never do, right? I'm always like last man standing at these parties, so we leave that place and we go to the bar next door. And the owner of the wiener place takes us to the bar next door. I don't know why. He feels the need to bring us in.
Owner of the wiener place.
And the people at this bar, total fucking assholes. I wish I could remember the name, because they were such assholes that I'd call them out on it. Just snotty,
I remember.
snobby. What's the name of this bar?
The Tornado.
Justine.
Right.
What was it called?
Justine's.
That's the name of the bar?
Yeah.
Fuck that place.
Yeah.
Don't go there. Just mean.
It's
And
also
I'm not talking about the customers. I'm talking about the staff. Just
What happened?
They were just snotty. They
sucked.
They looked at us like how dare you? But it was half empty.
Yeah.
How dare you come in here right now? Could barely be bothered to take my order. I don't know. The whole thing was just not nice. But
That's too bad.
we ordered a drink. And typically, I don't care. I'll deal with that, and I'll keep ordering more drinks.
Yeah.
I sat down at this table, and I'm talking to the guy who, I think one of the guys brought us for Weenus, and I just was like, oh, no. I don't know where it's going to come out of me.
Okay.
But it's coming out somewhere.
And you're talking to the guy who delivered this atrocity into your innards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not
No, I
good.
don't say no, this is me. This is my internal
No, I know,
voice.
but I'm saying, but you're looking at the man
Yes.
responsible for it.
And he's fucking yapping about something. I can't listen anymore
Yeah,
because
right.
I'm I'm like
Well,
trying to.
we've been shut down a few times this month, but it's fine. It's okay. I'm assured by everybody that everything's fine. We greased the
Right.
wheel. It's fine.
And I'm just like not listening. And finally, I just half a beer full. Bevo, we're leaving. We got to go right now.
He pulled poor Beverly.
Wow.
Oh, no, I asked to leave before we went to that bar.
Yeah, she's
like,
all about
I asked to go home with Chris Graham. I was like, can I leave?
And I'm like,
can I
no.
catch his Uber? And he was like, no, you have to come with me. And I was like, God damn it. Okay.
So luckily for Bevo, I got sick because otherwise I'm like, no, it's 2 a.m. I got to do the whole. No, it was 11:15. I don't know what. I'm out of here.
Damn, dude.
So
And
good way to end.
Which end did it come out?
It didn't.
didn't come out at all.
But I just my gut felt like it was going to explode for the next 7 hours.
You had all that allspice.
You had a scare to fart.
Yeah,
You were
and
scared to fart.
or like more like when you want to release gas, like the pressure.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. There was no pressure. Like the valve was.
man.
None of the valves were working.
Damn, dude. You need more vitamin B12.
I probably shouldn't have had 4 of them.
Well, 4 all the way.
But they put 4 in front of me, and I'm really polite when it comes to that. When like locals are like, "Here, this is what we're having."
Try our local delicacy.
I'm like, okay,
It's a lot like your Earth hot dog, but different.
Yeah, but I just feel bad. Like I can't not eat it. So, and they were tasty, but I knew it was not going to go well, and it didn't.
Okay.
For the whole next day too. It's still
Really?
yeah. It was a while. It took a while to get back to normal.
Rough, dude. Rough.
But a great time. Thank you to the people of Providence and all of the homebrewers who came to hang out with us. There were so many of you, and you are all so cool to be around. So thanks for supporting us. It was a very, 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 very expensive party, so I appreciate you buying tickets and keeping us from going broke on that thing.
Hell yeah.
Might be the last big one we do.
Really?
I can't. The stress of the money it kills me.
Okay.
It just kills me.
Yeah.
You know, they're expensive because we rent out the whole venue, and then people are like, how many, when you do an event like this, they want to know how many people. Well, I never know how many fucking people. Like sometimes 500 people, sometimes 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It just depends on where the party moves, right? And I just can't do it anymore. Like, I know I can sell 200 tickets, like, all day long.
Sure.
We always have 200 fans.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to do, like, a small thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's going to be, like, a dinner or I don't know what, or just a meet and greet. I don't know. But the whole...
There's plenty of, like, small... Well, next year it's in Nashville. There's plenty of small clubs, right?
There is.
That you can do 200, 300.
Yeah, but here's my problem in Nashville. For the same reason you think it'd be a good year to do it...
Yeah.
Meaning everyone's going to go to Nashville. Like, that's going to be
I'm definitely
a
gonna
very
go to
popular
Nashville.
homebrew con because it's in Nashville.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's plenty of shit to do on Saturday night in Nashville. Why come to our thing when you can go
Boot Scoot
go
Boogie?
Nashville?
Yeah, but how many days have they been there already? 1 day,
Oh,
2
good point.
days?
3, probably?
Yeah, but there's an event at the conference itself every other day except the Saturday that we have the
Or
party.
just tone it down. Make it
When it's
200 people,
over.
like you said.
Yeah.
And then, and people can't get in, and people will talk about how they couldn't get in this cool party that you had.
Yeah, I might do that and make it early so that you can still then go out. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the
6
venue
to
for
8.
you, Justin.
You do?
Santa's Pub.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about Santa's Pub.
You have to have a BNA party
I'm sorry,
and
Santa's
book
Pub.
Santa's Pub.
It's in a double wide.
Triple wide.
Oh my God!
This
Extra
is what
space.
I told you about.
Yes.
Bevo. Of course it has to
It's
be
in a
at
triple wide,
Santa's.
but the beer comes out of a fridge, residential fridge.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll be a bit different beer selection.
And
I'm
there's
looking at
karaoke.
It looks pretty badass, dude.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. All right, well, Beef, you know who to call. Book
Send an email.
Yeah,
200 people.
they
at
might not have
Santa's
email.
Pub.
You might have to use a terrestrial
Carrier
phone line.
pigeon.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like you just write to the North Pole. You know Santa's address.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Fine.
It's
Cool.
easy.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Sounds good.
we'll just go there and say that's where we're going. Like, why organize anything? And then if you
Because
know,
I don't know, it's also an anniversary party. It's a celebration, so you want to,
it is, but it kills me every
Yeah?
year. It kills me. It's so stressful. Every year I'm like, are we going to be bankrupt this month or not? It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. Maybe not the huge, giant celebrations, but
No.
200-300 people, like you just said, it's easy enough for us to sell that many tickets, so there should be no stress with it.
and how expensive can it be to book a triple wide?
Right.
You never know.
You could probably either you rent one or you buy one. I feel like they're the same price.
It's
Same price.
probably the same price. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again to everybody who came out. It was really,
you're welcome.
it was really a good time. Thanks also to our sponsor, More Beer. They're a sponsor of this program and every session that we do, and they were also a partner and sponsor of our BNA party. Had a great time with Chris Graham out there. Chris Graham was like living his best life.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I think maybe his kids are like at that age now where he's okay when he goes away for the weekend.
His
where
wife is okay when he goes
Well,
away?
Right.
It's not quite like he's just finally getting out of the house and has to go crazy. It's not like that. He's like somewhere in the middle where it's like, okay, I'm out of the house. It's cool. Don't have to go crazy. Have some fun.
He's been going crazy for a long time.
See?
Yeah, I ran into that guy at GBF last year. I snuck away after judging and went to this pizza place. It's upstairs. Nobody's there.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there in my own little zone. No beer people. I'm having a good moment. And then I look and I hear hey, Sean. I'm like, Chris. I was like, the fuck are you doing here? I was like, and he does not look good. He's been rolling pretty hard.
Okay, yeah.
So I think he's been having a lot of fun.
Maybe that's what's happening. I had a great time with him. Maybe that's it. He's like now my speed or something.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
all right, Chris. But thank you to
He's a
More
good
Beer.
dude.
Go to morebeer.com and give them some love as well. All right. On today's program, straight out of San Antonio, Texas, Weathered Souls Brewing Company is on the program with us. And we've got Marcus is in studio. Marcus the Brewer and Terrence the Black, both in studio with us because I believe, Marcus, you are Terrence's cousin?
Yes, we're first cousins.
Yeah. Like real cousin?
Yes.
Okay.
We're just cousins.
Not
cousins. We're real cousins.
Well, because Beardy said that you introduced him out there as your brother.
You did say that.
Because
you totally said that.
So well, that's not what happened.
Bevo's theory was it was like brother, but I was like, that would work except that he's your cousin. You can't introduce your cousin as brother, even if it's the slang brother.
I wouldn't say brother or brother.
You wouldn't.
You can't. You always say it's my cousin.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. First cousin.
First cousin.
You guys,
Terrence personally. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Over what?
Over Beardy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would I walk in here and say that?
Because you're crazy. You misheard. That's all.
Okay. Cousin doesn't sound much like brother.
Maybe you were expecting to hear him say.
Oh, there we go.
But I don't wear Maroon 5 shirts here, so that wasn't me.
Which I thought you were going to wear so that we could get to the bottom of this.
It's dirty.
We already had a conversation.
I worked at the zoo the other day.
Okay.
So you guys grew up together, like you're close cousins.
Yeah.
You grew up here on the West Coast.
Rancho Cordova and
Okay. All right.
Oh, the show's going to be good.
Yeah.
Stories.
Yeah. How long you been out in Texas then?
I've been there for 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What brought you to Texas?
I used to work for Citibank, and I took a promotion for my job dealing with fraud management.
Pull that microphone up for me, will you? Get it real close to you. Whoops, the whole thing though. Sorry, my fault.
I'm a rookie at this.
There you go. We got it. I got you.
So took a promotion with my job when I was at Citibank and just ended up there.
Did you used to homebrew with Terrence too?
No, me and Terrence have never brewed together.
We've never brewed together, but we've exchanged recipes back in the day. We would text and message each other and try to figure out different things to tweak.
Okay.
And then he just, got good.
Terrence started brewing a long time before I did.
Sure.
And then when I was starting out, kind of used to hit him up, ask him questions, different stuff like that. And
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Terrence, are you envious of that he went the brewing career and you're whatever? I don't even know what the fuck you do.
I don't even know what I do either.
Are you envious that he left his past life behind and started a new one in another state?
Right.
No, it's good. I've often wondered what would happen if I went that direction,
and it would have been fun. But also, I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to lift and carry stuff all the time, so I'm good. For a while, I kind of harassing Terrence when you start brewing again.
Yeah.
Start brewing again.
Yeah.
Kids, man.
And he's like, oh, I got kids.
That's right.
I just had another one.
That's what's brewing.
And then another one. And then another one. How many do you have now? 8?
I have 3.
3.
Yeah.
Feels like 8.
But he doesn't want to lift and carry anything.
Anything else.
Right.
Yeah. Really. All right. Well, we'll get back into this story when we can. Let me get through a few announcements here. Announcements brought to you today by Drake's Brewing Company. You can go to drinkdrakes.com and check them out. They've got 3 locations in the greater Bay Area for you to check out. They got the Drake's Barrel House. I was just there after an event at Sully's place, as a matter of fact. Had a couple beers there. They've got Drake's Dealership, which is one of the coolest places to drink beer. Awesome beer garden in Oakland. And then they got the Barn up in Sacramento. So go check them out and thank them for supporting the Brewing Network all this time. All right, what do I have going on? It feels like all our events are behind us, but we do have the Hop Grenade's 5th anniversary party right here at the Concord Hop Grenade. That's on July 28th. We've also got Fort Collins Hop Grenade's 2nd anniversary party. That's on August 4th. I'm going to be at both of them. You should come join us. We got great beer on tap and some special stuff. In fact, we just brewed at Fieldwork this morning.
Oh, wow.
We did a collaboration beer for our 5th anniversary. We did an IPA. Because he wouldn't let me do a pale ale.
What?
Well, because we can't buy all the beer here, and he wants to sell it. He's Alex is right. He also shot down a name I had and came up with a much better one. Alex is a smart guy over there. So we started out with. He's like, well, if you want to make it a hazy, juicy pale ale, and I was like, no, I just want a pale ale. He's like, then can we do like kind of standard IPA, then it can be clear, not like a 7%er. I think it's like a 6%er, maybe 6.5. And so that's what we did, and it was smelling really good today.
What's the name? What's the name he wouldn't let you use?
Road Rage IPA.
I had come up with Feels Like 10. It's our 5th anniversary, and he wrote back. He's like, That sounds just a little too creeper to me.
Yeah.
He
You
like-
did just have the School of Rock play at your anniversary party.
and
You're
I
on a
was
roll.
like-
You're on a roll.
I was
Weinstein,
like,
Epstein of
oh,
you.
I didn't think of that. All right, that's fine.
Alex is also really horny, I think.
Hey.
And so he came up with destructive devices. Is it's a hop grenade, it's a grenade, it's destructive. Plus, I think he feels like I'm a destructive human being.
Okay.
So that's what we have.
Okay.
What do we put in there? We put in some Citra. We put in some
Water, I would
new-
imagine. There's a fair amount of water in there.
Yeah,
Maybe some yeast.
Some newish hop. What the
Maybe.
fuck was that called? I forget. Anyway, I just kind of stood around.
Sambuca hops.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you know how these collaborations go, Sully.
There's nothing that goes. It's just you're there for the beginning, and then you turn to everybody. The guys who are actually brewing, you go like, you got this, and then you're off at the bar.
Yeah, I did.
Classic collaboration.
I did save the day once. Their hopback was about to overflow.
You saved the day,
And I was like,
and
hey,
he
someone,
went, hey, is that
someone
right?
should do something about that. And they're like, oh, cool. And they had to turn the lever, and I was like, there we go. Best collaboration ever.
My work is done here.
I
I'll be at the bar.
actually did one thing. So that was fun. So we're going to have our Fieldwork anniversary beer on tap here. We did an anniversary blend with the Rare Barrel, which I tried last week. It's also awesome. We'll have bottles of that for sale. So come hang out with us. It's on July 28th here in Concord and on August 4th out there in Fort Collins, Colorado. All right, do your Amazon shopping. Just click the Amazon link. If you don't see the Amazon link on our homepage, it's because you have your ad blocker on. But if you do your shopping by clicking that, it's a great way to support us. Also, subscribe and join the BN Army. Click the donate button. For as little as $2 a month, you're entered into More Beer monthly donation giveaway, which is worth a chance to win $100 to spend over at More Beer. And it's just a great way to support us, too. Get all these updates and more and other things on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Send your feedback to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. You can send your show ideas there, too, or send them over to bevo@thebrewingnetwork.com. Always looking for your show ideas, whether that be professional brewers or homebrew topics you'd like covered. We like to hear all of it, so send that over to us. All right, Jip, we have a Twitter game today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reluctantly.
Yeah. It's not one of my better ones, but
okay.
Well, the Twitter game is brought to you today by 5 Star Chemicals, a wonderful supporter of ours, and you can't make good beer without proper cleaning and sanitation, and 5 Star Chemicals has your back. Go to 5starchemicals.com and check it out. All right, what do you got?
You're just bringing it down,
Yeah.
bringing the energy down a little bit. Well, for those of you who don't know, Sully likes to cook. Sully's a big foodie.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like a good Twitter game at all.
He's a cook guy. He's a big cooking man, and he's writing a cookbook.
Oh, okay.
So he needs some recipe names for more classic dishes that he's making. So I want the Brewing Network listeners to help Sully come up. Just name some of his dishes. It doesn't matter that you don't know what the dishes are.
Right.
Just throw out some names that you think would be appropriate for Sully.
And the Brewing
food, and the Brewing Network, and whatever. Just some fun names. You
Okay.
can even volunteer the dish if you want to.
Okay.
This sounds like a great game.
So all these fans are going to be like, you're writing a book?
Yeah.
No. It's just a thing.
It
on
could
it.
happen.
Stupid.
Yeah. Depends how good the names are.
Yeah, might have to change my whole plan here.
I was going to write a D&D manual, but now...
All right, let's do some feedback. Feedback's brought to you today by the Beer Law Center. You can go to beerlawcenter.com, and John can help you out like he helps me out. Got to hang out with John last week, and he's a great guy to be around and an all-around excellent attorney. Go to beerlawcenter.com. He can help you out as well. All right, Keith writes in, hello, I am a homebrewer from Monterey, California, and recently received second place at the National Homebrew Competition in the final round for Pale Ale.
Woo!
Good job, Keith.
Nice.
Yeah. I was unable to be at HomebrewCon due to having already committed to a triathlon in Tahoe, but was able to live stream the award ceremony mere minutes after completing my race. So thanks to everyone at the Brewing Network for making that happen. You're welcome. It's always fun to stream those awards. We're really proud to get to do it every year, actually. So thanks for tuning in. He goes on to say, I'm a big fan of the Brewing Network and loved last year's episode of the session with NHC medal winners. So if you plan on doing another episode this year, I would love to be a part of it. I'm a quick two-hour drive away and have some bottles left to share. I don't think I was around for that last year. Seems like maybe
You
one
weren't.
of you guys did.
That was with Vito and...
Oh, okay.
Oh, because why did Doe's win Club of the Year? Is that what happened?
No.
Oh,
But I think a bunch of local people won.
But they definitely took home some medals.
Yeah.
Wow, someone liked it. That's cool.
I think we could do that again, right?
Yeah, 'cause Paul won a medal.
Paul Brown.
And actually, one of the guys we just had on Dr. Homebrew won gold, I think, for Pale Ale or something like that.
Was that a Brewing Network club? Because we did have one Brewing Network gold medal.
I saw that.
I didn't remember
that wasn't him.
Didn't this guy just say he won gold for?
No, silver.
Oh, silver.
Yeah.
So we definitely know 2 or 3 or 4 people.
A couple, two, tree.
A couple, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
4 by 4.
Yeah.
All right, well, write into us. If we get a few of you on, we could do that. We could do at least a segment or half a show or a full show. I don't know. I like the idea. All right, thanks, Keith. Jeff writes in, what a blast Saturday night was. I assume he's talking about BNA 14.
I went to the movies. It was a double feature. Spider-Man and the Hulk.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Brought the kids. It was a whole family
Sorry, I missed
evening.
your party.
I have pictures online. Check them out. Thank you for writing.
He says, despite going to many concerts, I think I may have witnessed my first actual unplanned, non-rehearsed, crowd-inspired encore.
Oh, wow.
I will never forget the look on the singer's face, assuring us that, no, actually, this is it. We really don't know any other songs. But nice job reading the crowd, Justin, and demanding the encore, as they were more than up to the task. I will see you next time, he says. And yeah, they were super stoked to get the encore. The place by then was going absolutely bonkers for them. Everyone just screaming, and it was cool. It was cool. He says, P.S. Way to jinx the food truck, though, by talking about how unreliable food trucks are on a recent episode. Yeah, our food truck bailed. Regardless, thanks for ordering the ZA. In case you didn't know, ZA is short for I'm a douchebag, from Jeff.
Food truck bailed?
Food truck bailed, and we ended up ordering a ton of pizza. I was like, we can't. Some of these people did not have time to go eat. They did not get the message that the food truck bailed. Like, we tried to put it on social media. So I was like, just order pizza. We got to, have something here for people.
What food truck would bail?
I ordered 30 pizzas, and we sold out of pizza.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's a problem.
It was
food trucks.
Yeah.
Bailing.
Yeah. It was the second person who had bailed us, I think. So.
Wow.
But I'm glad that we got to take care of some of you, Jeff. So glad you had a good time. Thanks for coming. All right. Ryan writes in. It's always interesting when they start with, overall, I love the show.
Oh, boy.
Well, that's an edited thing because he had some issue with a thing that I haven't forwarded to yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so I took the feedback out of the issue email. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me do that now.
Overall, I love the show, and in my opinion, Justin's interview style is superior to all of the other beer podcasts I listen to.
Sincerely, Justin.
Wow. Right.
Yeah. I mean, fucking obviously, I am the best thing to happen to beer interviews ever in the history of beer.
Almost.
You've
Period.
always said that.
That's right.
And I stick to it. Stand by it. The brewers that come on your show always seem more relaxed, and I think that makes them more willing to give up juicy tidbits of brewing secrets that we all want. Also, JP, Beardy, and the rest of the crew always ask great questions that are super helpful when I'm trying to develop recipes or take notes on the brewing business in general. They're okay. It's also nice to have generally unstructured interviews so we get to know the brewers a little better. And Teresa and Sully have been awesome additions as co-hosts.
Wow.
See that? See that?
Good feedback there.
Yeah.
All of these are reasons why I'm happy to be a monthly contributor to the Brewing Network. Thank you for doing that, Ryan. Appreciate it. But...
Uh-oh.
Wait a second.
And I read this before the show, and now I'm super self-conscious about it. I want to preface this by saying the overall sound quality of your broadcast is great, and everyone's voices always sound full and easy to understand. On occasion, however, there are times... I'm doing it right now, I can tell. See, I'm so self-conscious. There are times when Justin goes on a rant or is in a hurry and when reading something. Occasionally when this happens, he starts to breathe really deep and quickly between sentences. And I don't know if this is due to the mic positioning, the EQ, or what, but every time he breathes in, it sounds like the air in my car is going to get sucked out through the speakers, and I'm going to suffocate in rush hour traffic. In other words, it's loud as fuck compared to everything else on the show. I understand that breathing is necessary, and the copious amounts of audible suction doesn't happen on the show all the time, but when it does, I find myself having to turn the volume down considerably to balance it out.
That guy just politely called you a mouth breather.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did you go to broadcasting school or something? Did you learn? Did you miss the breathing part?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I know exactly what the problem is.
Your microphone's too good.
There's two problems.
I only have the best equipment.
Yeah. Well, it's partly equipment related because we use a lot of compression, and I especially use double or triple on my microphone. And you don't really have to know what that means, but in general, it helps things. But what it also does is take lower volume sounds and increase them to the rest of your sound. So it essentially compresses everything to be at the same volume. So if I start breathing, when I do those breaths in, it's literally amplifying the breath because the compressor thinks that that's what it's supposed to do.
Just start breathing like this.
Well, I have to now. Now I feel like, because I get it when I'm ranting, I am yelling and I'm close to the microphone like I'm supposed to be.
Right.
But now I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm gonna like back off of the microphone every time I take a breath.
I like that. I got a good view.
It's gonna be difficult to do. And now that somebody has said it to me, it's gonna be hard to get it out of my.
Leave,
it's gonna be hard to get out of my head.
The show just ended.
Yeah. You just ruined every. Yeah. Now my head's gonna explode. I know now, and because now I can hear it when I do it too.
Yeah.
So Ryan, you just fucked everything up.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Right.
I'll see what I can do. I'll see if I can fix it. There you go. Maybe I'll lower the compression. I don't know. All right.
If he's the only one who's ever complained, maybe he has like super Bose headphones. He has two giant Bose speakers for headphones. Only he can hear them, maybe?
Maybe. Or maybe everyone else knows what a delicate flower I am about my broadcasting prowess. And they're like, well, we'll just deal with this so he doesn't leave.
Probably,
yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the feedback, I guess, Ryan. Cheers. Yeah. All right. Ron writes in, I've tried to use the general inquiry email several times, but it doesn't seem to work. The page freezes. That is odd. I do get emails from that, but I will check. But he does say, I want to confirm that the BN is getting a cut when I purchase on the Amazon app. Because when I click the Amazon link in your homepage while using my iPhone or iPad, it automatically opens the Amazon app that I have installed. Does this mean the BN is getting its cut when I make those purchases?
Very brand specific.
Yeah, it does. Yes, we are still getting it. In fact, unless you've approved for it to open the app, it wouldn't open the app when you click links. But at some point in your life, you approved that to happen.
Yeah,
and
Ron.
so that means we are getting it. It is tracking it. But he then says, does that mean that the link to the BN is saved in the app so that every time I use it, the BN is receiving its cut? And no, that is not the case. It doesn't live there forever. Yeah. There's probably like a time period. A lot of times they'll do like 24 hours, and some affiliate programs are even 48. I don't know what Amazon is. I never read the fine print. But no, you still got to click a link every time.
Yeah, Ron.
But thank you for looking out for us, Ron. Okay. Steven writes in, hey, BN, I'm a huge fan of the session, and as of recent, the Sour Hour.
Why?
Yeah.
Weird.
Good question.
Huh.
I hope you enjoyed HomebrewCon. It looked fun from all the social media I saw. I know you don't know me, but I work for Miller Coors in Golden, Colorado. I work in fermentation, and the podcast helped me get through the night shift. I love listening. You're all a great bunch to follow. I hope one day to catch a live show to play along with the Twitter game. I love all the back and forth you all have and how you're able to keep things fun and comical on the show. Keep up the good work. And I hope to hear more of you in the future. If you all ever want some insight as to what it's like on this side of the fence, macro, hit me up. From Steven.
All right. Stephen Golden from Miller Coors.
And this can't be a real name. Ian Titus? Is that a real name?
Yeah.
I usually don't do both names on the, but...
That's 349 Strawberry Court.
Yeah, but Ian Titus.
Birmingham.
I'm sitting here at a brewery in Seattle that has a brown ale called Blitzfire Brown Ale.
That's a good name.
I asked the server if it's a smoked brown ale. He told me he's unfamiliar with that term.
What?
Fucking hipsters, that is all. Sincerely, Ian Titus. I feel like Ian Titus is a new character on this show. I'm going to start writing emails for him if he doesn't keep these coming. But Ian, keep these coming. I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know all of your beer experiences in 2 sentences, like you're my kind of guest right now.
Yeah.
Ian Titus speaks.
Yeah. And now, a word from Ian Titus.
I just wanted to know the name of the beer. I just want to know the beer. I just want to know the beer. I'm trying to work an Ian Titus
Smoke
voice.
beer?
I just we can all picture exactly what was happening. We can picture exactly who he was talking to when they said, I'm unfamiliar with that term. We've all had that, you know, even...
I would love to know if that was verbatim.
Right.
Because a server going, I am unfamiliar with that term, to me is very sarcastic. I wonder if the server's just going, fucking shut up,
right?
Dude, you douchebag.
Maybe you're the fucking hipster to that server.
Yeah. Oh, is this a smoke beer? Go in the back and write in the log. What an asshole this guy was.
Yeah.
Well, it isn't fairly. I mean, it's a pretty fair question.
Yeah, right. But I think I don't know the picture that I get in my head of the modern day beer server.
Yeah,
is that they're fucking tired of like what style beer? I don't know, dude. Everything is on the board.
Right. It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk.
Right.
It's not part of my job description to talk with you at all.
It's even numbered. Just tell me a number. Don't ask me. Are you sure that's number 9?
Is this how your trading goes, the 2-1-A, Sully, nowadays? You just train your staff to be like, just read the fucking chalkboard.
There might be a little, like, looking over your shoulder when somebody asks a question, but no, we've been doing it for almost 20 years, so, you know.
still answer
we're professionals.
questions.
Of course we do.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
You have to, right, Marcus?
Of course.
Yeah. See, yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on in your world, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Marcus is like, no, fuck no.
Yeah, I will literally never talk about a style. Hell no.
I don't personally, but my bar staff should know how.
There you go. There you go. Right. All right, Ian Titus, send us more emails, please. I like you.
Is this the new Angry Jameel?
Yeah, I think so.
It's got a great name.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Great name, great concise sentence.
Ian Tinnitus.
Yeah.
Didn't he end it with that is all?
Ended with fucking hipsters. That is all.
Yeah. That needs to be the closing in every email.
Yeah.
We don't need to know too much about him, though. We have this idea in our head about him.
Yeah.
If we meet him, it's going to be like, you know, a 15-year-old kid somewhere or something.
Yeah. I don't want to meet you. I don't want you to send me some novel next week about why you're. No, not. I don't care about you. No. But I like your 2 sentences
and your name,
and your name, and I like, and I can relate to your take. That's what, the more I know you, the less I will like you, Ian Titus.
That is true.
Because he won't live up to it, right?
No, you just want you want a shirt that says, "What would Ian Titus do?"
Yeah,
we have to take this to the next level.
Yeah. Like right now, Ian Titus is this mythical figure.
Yeah, he's like a god. He's a Mayan god with giant eagle wings, and he's like going around commenting.
He's the anti-hipster, anti-beer nerd beer god.
Yeah,
just with 2 sentences and a name.
Yeah,
he's one of those people that wears the Facebook shirts where it's like, yes, I'm a welder. I have a disregard for stupid people.
Yes.
My grandma was born in August.
Yeah.
Yes, she bought me this shirt.
Yes.
And like non-ironically wearing that around.
He doesn't belong to Facebook, though.
Right.
No.
How did he get this shirt? Ian would not belong to Facebook.
Yeah.
No.
Is his email address an AOL.com account?
Most likely, yes. And he also always introduces himself with his full name.
Exactly.
It's never Ian.
Mr. Ian Titus.
I am Ian Titus. Every time.
He never says goodbye. He says, that is all. He just walks away. He just doesn't even finish his beer, just sets it down. That is all. He's gone.
He also doesn't say hello.
Yeah.
His hello is Ian Titus.
I'm I am professional welder, Mr. Ian Titus.
Yeah.
That's my full name.
Ian Titus.
All right. Keep it coming, Ian Titus.
Don't send a picture. Don't do anything.
No.
Just
Nothing.
keep it tight. No. 2-dimensional. Keep it bright.
Don't ruin my life.
Not even an emoji. Just nothing.
I like that the best contribution we've had to the show in so long is 2 shitty sentences from Ian Titus.
You sometimes need that to, evoke energy into the show.
You're right. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to be talking to Weathered Souls Brewing Company. Hang in there. It's The Session, and we'll be right back.
Hey, motherfuckers, this is Doug from fucking Society. You're listening to the session on the fucking Brewing Network. Fuck you.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us here on the session. We are broadcasting live from our studio in Concord, California at the Hop Grenade and hanging out with Weathered Souls Brewing Company out of San Antonio, Texas. We've got Marcus Baskerville in the studio with us.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
It's very proper. It's
very... prestigious.
Yeah. It is prestigious.
He's wearing a crown right now and a big robe.
Yeah, like what a difference in family. Like Terrence gets the name Terrence the Black. There's nothing prestigious. And you get Marcus Baskerville. That's kind of weird.
And what happened there?
Obviously, my dad's name was the Black.
Yeah, clearly.
Really?
No.
It's like Gucci Mane. You're taking your dad's nickname. That's right.
Now, Marcus, you're out in San Antonio now, and how long has Weathered Souls been open?
So this year we're approaching 3 years in November.
Can I ask you about the name? Because Weathered Soul is how I feel. I feel like it's about, like, you guys have like been places and you're showing that. Tell me what it means to you.
Something like that. So I'm only 34.
Okay.
But I've been in the like cell phone industry. I've been in the banking industry and now the brewing industry, right? I feel old. Also, my business,
and you own a brewery now,
right? Yeah. My business partner, he's actually same situation, but pretty much it was his dad used to run milk trucks back in the day. When they were back, whatever year it was, and so it was that kind of that thing where you've been through a lot and been through the run of things, and
so it is what it's what I think it is.
Weathered Soul, yeah.
Okay. And I like that you're owning it too, right? Because everybody, I'm not saying that it's not that it can't be looked at positively. Like we've lived some life, like we know some shit. Yeah. We've been through this. Like it can be positive, but everyone's so worried about being overly positive. Like, oh, we can't call it Weathered Souls. Like that says like we're looking down on ourselves or something. Yeah. But I didn't get that feeling. But I wanted to ask you because you're a young guy, and I was like, well, shit. Because to me, it means like, man, I've been through it. Mm-hmm. But it means the same to you.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay. Well, now I really like it.
I dye my beard. I'm not as young as I look.
You did?
Really?
Real dude.
Did you start doing that in time that nobody noticed? Because like if I do that now, it's too fucking late. Everyone's like, oh, look at this idiot.
It was like the middle end was starting to gray out. All the stress from the brewery, and then I have 2 kids now.
Okay.
So it was like.
But you caught it fast, so no
exactly.
one.
I'm like, all right, I'm going out of town this weekend. I need to brighten this up a bit.
You're smart. You're smart. I got to make that decision about the top part eventually.
I have not done that. I have embraced the gray.
Yeah.
And owning a brewery and getting gray.
Which is just what happened. I mean, being a business owner, I mean, it's stressful, right? And starting this thing out, like I got more gray, I think, starting the Hop Grenade here than like it just happened fast.
Exactly.
I'm really curious. I'm going to let it happen, and I want to see if it's going to be a line. Like it just one day it goes from blonde red to gray, and you just get to see it grow out.
You know what often happens though is the streaks. Right, like it won't be a full line. You might end up with 2 vertical lines.
Yeah, probably with you.
Rather than a horizontal change.
Oh, that's not as cool.
No, not at all.
Graying is usually patchy.
Okay.
At least with me. At least with handsome people.
In fact,
so I have a chance for a line.
Well, that's why I know you're ugly. If you go all gray instantly, you're ugly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Or I just look wiser.
Sorry, Sully.
No,
and more
I didn't go
wizard-like.
gray immediately. I had the patch thing. I was cool. I was handsome.
Oh.
Now I'm not handsome.
Of course. Sorry.
I'm over here in the corner if you need me.
Being cool and awesome.
I was just interviewing.
Let's go to the gray guy.
It's the chair.
I'm starting to observe this as well because I'm trying to figure out what to do myself. And I was just interviewing Mufasa at HomebrewCon.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
He has 2 perfectly perfect.
He dyes it.
Like they're fake. Yeah, like he doesn't dye them black. He dyes them gray.
Yeah.
It's two perfect, right? There's no way that genetically he just has two perfectly cool gray stripes and nothing else. That's impossible, right?
But he is that cool.
We
Like,
have
it
a
could
pretty
happen.
good, our brewery has a pretty good working relationship with Mufasa.
Okay.
So he works for
because he's a
company out in
Texas
San
guy.
Antonio. Yeah. So he lives in Houston, but he works for a San Antonio-based company.
Okay.
Taprite, and basically they do all the tap systems and stuff like that. So we actually have a working relationship with them where we're their kind of like their testing facility for stuff. And,
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and also when they want to do shows and different things like that, they'll highlight our our tap system. So
Excellent. Well, go check out Taprite. They also did some giveaways with us while we were at HomebrewCon. So
Very good people.
Yeah, they were very nice. I was thankful for them to do that. So tell me a little bit about the beer scene in San Antonio. Is it kind of young in terms of craft beer?
Yeah, it's still pretty new. So you figure San Antonio is the 7th largest city in the U.S., right?
I did not know that.
Whoa.
Okay.
I don't know if it still is, but at one time it was.
That's
So
big.
It's in the top 10.
Okay.
But I want to say we have 14 breweries.
Wow.
And I want to say about 3 or 4 of those have opened in the last 2-3 years.
And then, so just Fort Collins, which is a town of 160,000 people, has 27 breweries in it. So, just as an aside,
Yeah, and so it's kind of still emerging. There's a few breweries that are in planning right now, a couple of that have just opened. But San Antonio's pretty much still trying to find its identity when it comes to craft beer.
Is it a lager town?
Yes.
What's the
Pilsners and lagers.
Pilsners, is Shiner the go-to there, like in other parts, or
Well, San Antonio, their largest selling beer is Dos Equis.
Dos Equis?
Yes.
Okay.
So you figure it's a heavily populated Hispanic culture there.
I see.
And so it's Dos Equis. So
I'll take that.
Yeah, and Shiner is pretty big out there too.
Okay.
So for craft brewers, it's been an upward battle to try to get this already implanted community to accept craft and start drinking something kind of out of their bubble.
Did that mean that you had to, and we have a couple lagers in our glass now, but did that mean you had to start with some solid lagers?
Yes. So I have 2 business partners. One's a silent partner, and then the other one is the majority that I'm with in San Antonio.
Okay.
So out of all the beers that we have on tap, he doesn't bother me too much as far as what I produce, but the one thing that I had to have on tap was a Mexican lager.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Sully's got a great Mexican lager too.
Yeah, I love that style.
Which I can't. Why can't I find that on the shelf right now?
Where are you looking?
Am I going in the wrong spot?
You might be looking in the wrong
That's
spot.
not
Looking in the size 12 shoe department.
Well, I was looking this weekend and I found other 2NA beer. I thought El Sully's not seasonal, is it?
No, it's
That's what I thought. Maybe it was just sold out everywhere I went.
Maybe it was.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about your Mexican lager, but first, I already started on your American light lager, so I thought we might start with that.
Yeah.
Tell us about this beer.
28% corn. Vienna's like a Vienna-based lager.
Okay.
And then I'm actually using White Labs high-pressure yeast. So for that particular lager, it's from grain to glass within 3 weeks.
Wow.
So you're actually fermenting it under pressure and using it like it's supposed to be?
Exactly.
Interesting.
So explain that to me. How does that work? What's different?
So, say for instance, our Mexican lager. I don't ferment under pressure, right? It's like ferments at 55 degrees. I bump it up for a diacetyl rest and then drop it for lagering processes.
Mm-hmm.
This particular beer, I ferment at ale temperatures. I basically run the pressure until it's pushing out of the release valve.
Wow.
And that sits for 2 weeks.
That sounds terrifying to me right now.
What's the pressure? Just 15? Or,
yeah, about 15 psi. So basically I let that run, and then we crash for about a week and a half, depending on biofine.
Okay.
And then go that process.
So what's the pressure portion of this? Is the idea that because there's pressure that mimics the lager temps?
Yeah, it basically ferments the beer faster, clears it out a little bit faster. It's like basically almost like cooking the beer.
I see.
Yeah, and so
I've never heard of
I was a
this.
little worried about it at first because per White Labs it has heavy sulfur production. But I've noticed that the higher pressure that you actually cook that beer, the less actual sulfur production you get with it.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not getting sulfur out of this.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of malt sweetness. A little fruity ester.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we use American hops with it. So
okay.
you're gonna get a little fruity ester out of it. I try to be traditional, but not so traditional.
Yeah, I got you.
Stuff like that.
I think it's a good compromise. The malt sweetness is just, it's like a nice corn malt sweetness,
exactly.
you know?
And at 28%, you're going to get some of that malt sweetness out of it. Yeah.
It's good that it displayed itself as like a little malt sweetness instead of coming across as like DMS or like cornmeal or something. I'm not getting that out of it.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's almost like some of the whiskeys we've been trying, Warren, on Heads and Tails, which is a great podcast on the
Tell me more about it.
I can't. It would take too much time.
Okay.
But you know, a lot of these distillers are using like heirloom corns to get the corn kind of flavor, and it's definitely not that where it's like a dry corn flavor.
Okay.
Like you're saying, it's that sweeter, rounder kind of corn flavor that I think works really well in this.
Iron Root Republic is the show you want to check out.
Yeah. There you go.
It talks about that. Okay.
Yeah, that's my encyclopedia.
Yeah.
He's good.
Beep boop bop.
Han Solo had a walking carpet. I got a walking carpet. That's also an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
What are the American hops?
I'm having a stroke right now.
For this particular batch, we used glacier hops.
Okay. So just a single hop all the way through too?
Okay.
Say bittering also?
Yeah.
All right.
60-minute, and for this one, 60 and 10.
Okay.
What
You're not
hop
dry
was it?
hopping or anything.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Glacier?
Glacier. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's a like a throwback.
Yeah.
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 Why that one? Tell me that it was just like available.
It was available and cheap. And
Yeah.
I kinda like
Because you didn't need a lot of character out of it, right?
Yeah.
Just a little subtle character. See, again, I'm liking your honesty because everything doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. It does the trick.
Exactly.
And it gave you a little hybrid. You know, it's an American lager anyway. So it doesn't have to be German.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this style.
Mm-hmm.
Crisp, clean. I remember the hop profile. I haven't used it in forever, but it is very subdued and kind of just
very
crisp,
mellow.
clean,
Yeah.
sharp. That's it. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
And that lets a lot of that malt character shine through.
Do you have to do a diacetyl rest since you're fermenting at ale temperatures already?
No, so that's the good thing about the is there's no diacetyl rest. So it's literally you're just fermenting 2 weeks at that ale temperature and then crashing from there.
For one more week, you said, because it's about a 3-week
Exactly.
turnaround?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Big seller for you, this one?
Yeah, so originally I did a 10-barrel batch of that. So now I'm brewing about 40 barrels of it a month.
Okay.
So not too bad, yeah.
What is your brew house, 10-barrel brew house?
We have a 20-barrel brew house.
I see.
Yeah.
How'd you do? You just did half a batch back in?
pretty
Okay.
much.
Just because you didn't know what was going to happen?
I have, I didn't know.
You
It was first
chicken
recipe.
shit.
Normally, like first recipes, I'll only do a 10-barrel just in case. Like
I don't blame you, dude. I do the same.
man.
I'm always. Actually, I should call them out more often. I think brewers are full of shit sometimes when they come in here and they're like, "No, we just did 100 barrels of it."
Yeah. 1 million barrels.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I bet you did something in between to check it out.
Sometimes it happens that way.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But there's a secret though. If it doesn't go right, what you do is you dry hop it and change the name.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. You just call it an
brewer's
IPA.
secret. Yeah, exactly.
Well, like we just brewed. I think it was on a 100-barrel system or something when we brewed with Firestone.
85.
Okay, on their 85-barrel system, right? And they were pretty honest with us. We were like, so this is the beer? Like, this is all you're going to brew? And they were like, well, we're actually going to taste it and then brew another batch.
Yeah.
And, like, we'll tweak that batch to be blended with this batch. Just so whatever I fucked up,
This
basically.
is the fake beer we're making.
Yeah. They'll tell us they didn't have to change it.
Yeah. They'll be like, oh, no, it was perfect.
Right.
So, because they know what I
Didn't
need to
change
hear.
a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are ways around it, obviously, but okay. I like your style though. Go in halfway, 10 gallons.
Yeah,
get it
figure
done.
it out. And
Okay.
then, if it goes well, then we'll just bump it up.
Which it did.
Yeah.
So all right. And that was the first time you had ever used that yeast too.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a ballsy move right there. I mean, could have gone haywire, right? Did you talk to other brewers who had used the yeast?
No.
You didn't.
Yeah, that is ballsy.
Because I've never even heard
That's
of
like,
brewers.
okay, turn it on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Let's hope this rocket goes.
I just did a little research on the yeast, and
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. That's
just
very
went from
cowboy.
It worked, man. All right. Tell us about the Mexican lager.
so Mexican lager, similar. That one is 25% corn, mostly Vienna, a little bit of Pilsner, a little bit of Munich.
Okay.
And then that one I use White Labs Mexican lager yeast. So the processing for that is a little bit different. That one I ferment at about 51 to 53 degrees. That one actually goes through a diacetyl rest for a week. So I bump it up to 61, 62. Let that run through a diacetyl rest for a week, and then that one lagers out. So with our tanks, we went with tall tanks to try to fit more tanks within the space. So I have 220 barrels, four 40s, and that's what I had prior to our new tanks coming in. So our tanks are 20% taller than your normal tanks.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that takes 20% longer for surface area of our yeast to drop out.
Yeah, coning was right. Steep.
Yeah. So for us, our Mexican lager at the time was taking almost 8.5, 9 weeks to lager out.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Versus, the quick 3-week process. But recently, we just got 240-barrel lager tanks. So I already did our first batch of Dale or Mexican lager in the lager tank. Basically went through the initial fermentation process, the diacetyl rest, crashed it for 2 days so I don't get any of that. The issues with the yeast, dropped the yeast off and transferred to the lager tank. And it only took 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
So,
Shaved
Are
off
they
a little
horizontal
time.
lager tanks?
Huge difference, huh?
Are they horizontal
lager
Yeah.
tanks? Yeah.
Okay. Did you know going into those tall tanks that it was going to add that?
No.
Yeah.
So when we opened, I used to have a production manager. And so when we opened, I was still working full-time for Citibank at the time. And so I left it to him to kind of develop the system and stuff. I gave a little input, but I left it up more so to him to get us set up.
Yeah.
So looking back now, would I have gone with those tanks? Definitely not.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's no way to know.
These are cigars.
Right. There wasn't a way to know at the time that it was going to increase. And it's literally increased about every beer we produce. So, even when it comes to our IPAs, it takes a few days longer for dry hopping to fall out, yeast to fall out, different stuff like that.
Yeah. Man, I have done that 10 fucking times in this place where I just they know what they're doing. I'm just gonna leave it over there. I don't have to micromanage everything.
Yeah. You're not talking about the radio show.
And no, the radio show's perfect. You're kidding. No, the hop grenade. And then after you're just like, I probably should have stuck my nose in there.
Yep.
And
that's what I said. The same thing. Like even with our dry hopping ports, they're super small. I can't even barely dry hop it.
Oh no.
And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And it's probably going to cost you a good chunk of change to get
and
those
it's like you
cut
knew
out
we were
and
going to brew
redone,
a
right?
bunch of IPAs. Like, why?
Yeah.
So we just got some new tanks. We got our 2 horizontal lager tanks. We just got 2 7-barrel stackable tanks, so I can kind of experiment a little more, push out a little more like small batch stuff. You figure you do a 20-barrel batch and just split it between the 2 tanks.
Okay.
So I had a little more development in those,
Sure.
a little more input. So I'm a little more happy with the newer stuff. That
Yeah. The horizontal lager tanks seem difficult in the sense of space, right? Like, space is always an issue in a brewery.
Yeah, for our brewery, space is an issue.
Is not, or
it's not an issue. It's not an issue.
You got room.
We have a lot of room.
Put them over
It's
there.
fucking Texas, all right?
Right.
Everything is bigger.
Come on,
right.
Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I have I have a brew floor, we have event space, we have warehouse space, and we have more warehouse space.
Nice.
So everybody knows,
It's 2
Texas,
spaces.
Texas, the laws are a little bit different when it comes to craft beer or just beer in general, alcohol in general, and so dealing with. When we originally bought our location, there was some old stipping in the lease where you couldn't sell alcohol to go.
Okay.
So the leasing agent was like, we kind of messed up. And so...
this is after you signed the lease?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And so, and that's a big part of our business plan is doing bottle releases, can releases,
of course,
different stuff like that. And so basically they were like, okay, well, it was literally an imaginary line within the door, in our warehouse. So this half, you can't do it. This
Oh, my
half,
God.
you can.
Yeah.
Then we have a school, elementary school behind us, and then we have a church across the street.
Okay.
So we had to
Sounds
have,
perfect.
Yeah, we had to have permission. We had to have permission from both of them and that type of thing.
Right.
And the leasing agency, realized the mistake, and so they gave us a pretty good deal on the additional space.
Okay.
And so we ended up with a lot more space than what we needed.
Oh, I see. All right.
Which has worked out in the long run.
Yeah.
Bob Ross would call that a happy mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Way to screw up.
Yeah.
I like that.
You're getting good at this. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen an alcohol producer that close to like an elementary school was Jameson. When I went to Jameson in Ireland, the original Jameson distillery, their entire fence line is shared with an elementary school, and I was like, "Oh, this would never be allowed in America.
Ours, yeah.
We would never."
I could walk out of the back of the warehouse and kick their gate.
Wow.
That's how close they are.
Yeah,
You should.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
And then a church across the street.
Yeah, and a church literally across the street.
Have they embraced you though?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we had to go ask for permission, and they were like, a brewery, of course. No issues. So.
Nice.
Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. You're like, my cousin used to be a pastor. And they're like, all right, you must be good. Fuck it.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, tell us more about the Mexican lager. What hops are in this beer?
So actually, that's the same as Glacier.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty much dealing with the Mexican lager and the American lager, it's just more so altered to the corn and then really different fermentation temperatures and different yeasts.
So I was going to ask that because I didn't remember exactly the corn amount, but is that the main difference between the American lager and your Mexican lager is the amount of corn?
Yeah.
But the Vienna and the Munich is the same? Okay.
Interesting.
And the yeast.
Because they are, and the yeast. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was just talking about the malt.
It's a different beer.
Okay.
Just talking about because they're like brothers and sisters. They're very close.
Exactly.
They're cousins.
They're cousins, yeah.
Some would say.
Like they have the same that same sweet corn characteristic. I think. I would guess the main differences I'm tasting are probably from the yeast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is the Mexican lager yeast from White Labs, you said.
WLP 940.
Oh.
Yeah. We use the same one. I mean, it's great. It just imparts like a real spicy herbal note to it. It's awesome.
What % corn is yours? So
Can't
I can
tell
have
you that, Justin.
comparison.
I have a whole corporation behind me. It's amazing I can even be here today to talk about anything.
It's true.
If you start saying Garrett pops out of his pocket and goes, no.
No.
Fine, I won't tell them.
Give me something to compare to. Because what did you say in the American lager, Marcus? It's like 30,
28%.
28%.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think ours is around 20. So and it's basically Pilsner malt, Vienna, and flaked maize is what we call it, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Corn, as you wish.
Is yours? Is there a difference between corn and flaked maize?
It's flaked corn.
It's
Yeah.
the same
exact
thing.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it just sounds better.
Yeah.
Doesn't it sound
A
better?
little more
Maize.
exotic, right?
Maize.
Yes.
Yeah. And yours are in tall cans, I see. That must be.
So we do crowlers to go.
Okay.
Yeah, beer to go. I haven't put anything in as far as production for canning for anything like that.
So just crowlers leave the
crowlers,
place.
you can always get them growlers.
And then you have accounts around town?
Yeah, so we're, for us, we're in San Antonio, surrounding area, Austin, Houston, Corpus Christi,
Okay.
A couple other places. So we're in about, I want to say 100 plus accounts right now.
Attaboy. Wow.
Yeah, so it's not too bad.
Do you have a sense of whether or not the Hispanic community has embraced your Mexican lagers?
Yeah. So we actually have been taking a lot of Dos Equis taps.
You have?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's
Nice.
a fantastic thing. Yeah,
Wow.
Get rid of that big boy out of there.
Hmm.
So we've been taking actually a lot of Dos Equis taps. We're in a lot of the corporate restaurants out there. BJ's, Papacitos, Papados when you come into town.
Wow.
Different things like that. And so
Why do you? So that's kind of a big deal and a difficult thing to do because we're not just talking about like a low seller here. We're not talking about like the Bud Light kind of moves.
Yeah.
We're talking about the best selling beer in San Antonio, and proprietors of these places are saying, yeah, we'll go ahead and replace that with your beer.
Yeah.
Do you think they're doing that to support local?
Yeah, so
Okay.
A lot of restaurants are trying to grasp the whole concept of supporting locals,
Okay.
supporting breweries, different things like that. So some are on board and some are still learning.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but that's a significant amount of people who are willing to say, we know you like Dos Equis, but you should try this.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're brewing about 80 barrels of Dale a month. So
wow,
you guys you're making a lot of beer.
That's a lot of beer.
Yeah. I mean, also, we do the same thing. I mean, El Sully, we will take Modelo handles. We have a saying, and you should use it. By the way, we like to say El Sully is what Modelo dreams of when he goes to bed at night. So, and then they're like, oh, really?
Yeah, you can change it a little bit.
Has Modelo put a billboard right out front of your brewery?
No, not yet.
That'd be great if you use that word, or that phrase, but exactly that.
Yeah.
You're going to try to sell your beer. Well, El Sully is what. And they go, what is El Sully?
What's he talking about? This is Dos Equis game.
But I think that's impressive.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great because like you said, it's like they're trying to embracing craft, embracing independent, local beer, and I think that lagers now are being made by craft brewers are way better than they used to be.
They really are.
And you look at like the GABF entries or the winners actually for the large lager categories, and you're seeing smaller independent breweries that are actually taking medals away from like Coors and Budweiser and all that. So it's actually pretty impressive.
Well, Sully, I think about that a lot because when we started this, it was the rare brewery that came in and did lagers. In fact, it's one of the reasons Dan Gordon was such fun on the show because he brewed great lagers and we got to talk about something different for a change. What is it that you think happened that craft brewers were allowed to spend the time making lagers all of a sudden?
I think brewers just got better at doing it, and the equipment got better, and the malt was better. Things just evolved in the industry, and I think initially we were all brewing ales because that's what we were home brewing because that was the easiest beer to home brew, and then you realize that as the technology came along and the information out there on the internet, and it was an opportunity for us to sort of start making these sort of challenging beers to make because they definitely are. I mean, they're not easy beers to make. There's no flaw that can be hidden. It's like an IPA relatively easy to make than a lager because a lager will it's like taking your clothes off, going, "Hey, look at this." And you're like, "Oh, what's that?" I will not do that now. Because you'll be definitely going, "Hey, what's that?"
I remember my first Burning Man.
Hey, and your second, and your third.
Yeah. So no, I think it's exciting times. I remember for a long time, anytime a small brewery would win a lager category,
the place would erupt.
People would go,
"Oh my god,
nuts!"
True.
Yeah.
Well, and so that's kind of my follow-up question because you've been judging at the GABF since Prohibition.
We used to do it by candlelight, so yes.
Do you kind of remember when that shifted?
Yeah.
And not even talk about awards. I mean, when you're back at the table and all of a sudden lagers were getting good again.
Well, I do. I mean, I just think that you saw it, like I said, you saw it in the results of the winners and all this, and also tasting the beers on the table. I mean, by and all, as the industry as a whole is getting way better. I mean, the beers that are entered, the beers that win, are way better than they used to ever be. I mean, it's just
everybody's grown up.
It's hard to judge now because I've judged like the final round of the IPA category, and you have like 9 beers in front of you, and you're like, all right,
that are
let's
incredible.
lean into this and see what we're going to do here.
Yeah.
Does that, especially that category, does it just come down to like your personal preference on hop varieties?
At that level, it's definitely like you're really, splitting hairs there. You're just like looking at small little things, and it's different in a sense. Like a BJCP is all a lot of it's numerical. So you're like awarding a score unless it's a best of show thing. And so with this, it's all like it's the art of negotiation.
Yeah.
And it's also you kind of all get to where you want to be.
Yeah. There's still consensus involved. So
absolutely, 100%.
I think that's part of the reason why those awards mean so much because it's still consensus.
Yep.
Among those judges.
When you win a medal at the GABF, you've come a long way. You should be really proud of yourself because those beers have been double tasted, judged. And it's just,
and it's getting hard.
Yeah.
And as you said, now the beers are getting better and better. It's harder and harder to win because, and so just to back up for a second, because you're talking about how difficult it can be to brew lagers. You can't hide behind anything. Water is really important as well. How's your San Antonio water? Do you have to work on this a lot?
He laughed, by the way.
It was a little more difficult for me. I mean, you guys are a little bit spoiled up here in Northern California. Texas, the water is terrible. So, like, literally the first time that I took a shower when I moved out, I almost jumped out of the shower that the water was so hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad.
We have that. I grew up in the desert, man. I know this feeling. That slimy, hard water feeling.
So, for us, we run 100% RO water at the brewery. and then I treat everything per whatever style that I'm brewing.
Okay.
So
you
that's water so
makes
hard.
my job a little more difficult, but
Water so hard I jumped out of the shower.
Yeah.
seriously,
That's a beer name right there.
Yeah. Water so hard it took my car. Can't.
This is the best one in a while, JP. Well done.
I can even hear Vivo laughing.
If you're going to work on that joke a little bit, use,
here we go.
Use jacked my car next time. It'll go.
No, I don't want to do that.
That'll be better. Trust
It's
me.
more. That's too early '90s for me.
Is it? I see.
Jack means a whole different thing now.
It does?
In the John Lasseter, post John Lasseter,
Oh, right.
post Louis C.K. world.
Oh,
You
I
know
see.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone jacked on my car. What? No.
I got
Wrong. Where's everybody going?
All right, that's fair.
Thank you.
I'm still crying from the joke, though.
You're right.
Yeah.
Crying. You're leaking.
I am.
Your face is leaking.
In Chechnya, we have one face to share tears.
That's right. All right, well, the beers are tasting great, so keep up with the RO and everything else you're doing there.
Keep up with the RO. Nobody has ever said that.
Keep up with the RO.
Keep up with the
The
RO.
good work of the
Yeah.
RO.
Yeah. RO kid. It's the wave of the future.
I sat in on 2 minutes of one of the lectures at HomebrewCon, and they had brought up RO water. And it's the first time I had heard somebody say this, because when we talk about it on here, it's always like, oh, don't worry if your water sucks. You can RO and build it back, and it will be fine. The 2 minutes I caught, this brewer was saying, by the way, just because it's RO doesn't mean you've stripped everything out. Not every system is the same. If you don't keep up on the maintenance of your system, it's really a lot of quality control just to strip the water naked. Are you finding that as well?
Yeah, so you have to keep up with, making sure that you're adding your salt in. You got to keep up with your filters, different little things like that.
Yeah.
Because over time, you can notice some differentiations in the water.
Sure.
So there is a lot of water maintenance involved, but the people that produced our system is pretty good at that. So
Okay.
we haven't had too many issues.
I just, in all the years we've been doing this, it was always like, oh, you're cool, you're doing RO water.
You have an
a
RO
thing
system.
that does that,
Yeah.
and now everything's
You can do
perfect.
whatever you want.
So,
Do you do like water? Do you taste the water when it's coming out of the system?
So I
see
do
if
water
you do
tasting,
that?
different things like that, kind of make sure that it's still good. We'll run pH tests about once a month, just to kind of make sure the pH is still in line of what they're telling me it is. And, different stuff like that.
Is that a weird like component of your job? I'm gonna go taste water. Like, I don't know. It's something that opening a brewery, I would never think that would be a portion of your job.
Yeah, you wouldn't
right?
think your everyday thing would be like, I have to see what this water tastes like.
Yeah,
but it really should be. So even our water here in the bay, like out of the tap, that shit changes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there are days when I have my tap water, I'm like, okay, somebody opened a pipe somewhere.
Yep.
You know,
water's
like,
terrible here.
You really can't. You should taste your water, no matter what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys get? You same as we do, like EB mud down in San
but
Leandro?
it comes from different sources depending on the time of year. I mean, you'll generally get it from some of the lower reservoirs up in the Hetch Hetchy area there. But sometimes when it gets a little bleak in the summer months, they'll pull it from the delta, and you're like, your calcium's going way up, and you're trying to keep an eye on it.
So you guys are testing it all the time too. You got to see what's happening.
Yeah, I mean we're relying in a large part because we don't have all the the equipment on the report from the city and all that. But
sure,
we do taste it. You should taste water, of course. There's a large portion of beer is water. JP.
Yeah,
that's very good.
Well, I'm just saying that there's the point where you hardly have to taste it. You can smell it. And you're like, okay, what do I have to do now?
But like from a homebrewer standpoint, I've never like sat and tasted my water. You just because that's what you have, and I'm not. I mean, I'm not
going to fix it anyway,
right? I'm just carbon filtering. Like, well, whatever happens, happens. I wouldn't have even thought of that. So coming from a homebrewer standpoint, if I was going to open a brewery, I would never in a million years think what I should be doing is tasting this before I actually use the thing.
How many medals did you win when you were making beer at home?
I've won some ribbons.
Oh,
he's got some.
I won a third place. I won a first place once.
I'm with you though. If there's nothing you can do, it's like when the RV brakes caught fire and we still had to drive home. There was nothing I could really do about it. We were either going to make it home or not make it home.
That's true. We were going to make it down the hill. either on fire or off fire.
Or off the ledge.
But we were going to
no
make
control.
it down the hill either way.
Correct.
Right. Or
So-
when the bears were circling our RV that later the next night.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do about it. Either they were going to rip the door down and eat our asses.
Yeah.
Or
not.
They were just going to eat
what
the
kind of
Cheetos.
bears were they?
And either
They were like black. Well, you know.
Either way, we were not changing that outcome.
I also just want to point out that this is Justin's mentality when you take a flight with him.
Yeah.
And he's watching like a flight crash documentary
Right.
on the plane.
Yeah, I'm like that. Bevo, she's a little uncomfortable like you are, and me, I'm like, you know what? If that's your time to go, it's your time to go. So I'll talk about crashes all day long.
Yeah.
So you know,
That
usually
doesn't- yeah, the
you'll
crash
tell like
talk
your
doesn't bother
significant
me too
other,
much,
you'll be
yeah.
like, oh, about to take off.
Love
You know,
ya.
I'll let you know when I land. I'm always like, I'll let you know if I land.
Yeah.
You know.
When you next hear from me, I will have landed.
I might have landed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Yeah, but real.
Right,
You know?
right. He has no control over what the pilot's doing.
That's right. I don't. If he's drunk,
I
not
don't think
drunk.
Ian Titus would do that.
Yeah.
If he
No.
did, it would be 2 sentences long.
That's right.
That is all.
All right, let's do this. We're going to take a quick break because we got some more beer to taste from Marcus here. So hang in there. We're talking to Weathered Souls Brewing Company. If you want to learn more about them, go to weatheredsouls.beer. Not even .com, JP. They went.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Weatheredsouls.beer. We'll be right back on the session.
Hey, what's up? This is Blake from Creature Comforts. You're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
Welcome back to The Session. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We are talking to Weathered Souls Brewing Company. We've got Marcus Baskerville in the studio with us, and his cousin, Terrence the Black.
Hi.
He's just here hanging out of the house for a minute.
Yeah. It's very rare that he comes out of the house.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Doesn't homebrew anymore like the rest of us.
I got a gaggle of children.
Yeah.
I've seen Terrence like 3 times since I moved.
It's always for family events, though, because my kids can come. That's the thing.
All your family still live out here, though, Marcus? Or you got family out there, too?
So, no,
okay.
all my family is in California.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to come back often anyway.
Yeah.
Do you guys think you want to expand out of state and get back to California? You'd like to sell beer here, right?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you want to sell beer anywhere.
You know, parents are starting to get old, and I got kids now and stuff. So
Okay.
eventually,
He's right here. in
Yeah,
the
he
room.
just came in the door.
Uncle's like right behind me.
Yeah.
Is this your dad behind you
Yeah.
here? Bev, she confused me because she was talking about the two of you interchangeably, and she's like, yeah, and Terrence is here, and all the family's here, and his dad is here. And I was like, Terrence's dad is here? Terrence's dad is deader than my dad. How is that a possibility? And she's like, no, Marcus's dad. I was like, well, you gotta slow down when you speak.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Just
It's
because
his
you
uncle,
know the
so,
facts
yeah.
doesn't mean she should be unclear as to what you don't know the medical science world.
I don't know.
So you thought it was more logical that Terrence's dead dad was coming
Yes.
than maybe it was Marcus's living dad.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
That's
You
a
can see-
Bevo
You
problem.
can see why
That's
it's
what that
Bevo's
sounds like.
fault.
Yeah.
I can. You watch a lot of TV.
Yeah. What's your dad's name, Marcus?
Everett.
Everett Baskerville. That's even
damn, bro.
Yeah,
Everett. That's even classier than Marcus Baskerville.
Yeah.
That's
You couldn't give the son too much juice. That's can't be as good as Everett. It has
that's
to
a
be.
classy name you got, Everett.
Well, my first one's named Everett also.
Okay, all right. So you got an Everett Jr. You're Everett Senior.
I'm a junior.
You're a junior.
My father's a senior.
Okay, here.
The first one's a third.
First one's a third.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
What do you do, Everett? What did you do? What
I'm
do
retired.
you do? You retired now?
Yeah, from the Department of Corrections. Did 31 years.
Oh, nice.
31 years in the
Damn.
Department of Corrections. Marcus, you had a tough house to grow up in.
Oh, man.
Something like that.
Yeah. Only on Tuesday.
And are you a beer drinker? Do you like the craft beer?
I didn't drink beer until he actually
Started brewing, yeah?
started brewing.
Okay. What do you think of his stuff now?
Good job, Zoe.
It's great. I'm a simple IPA man.
Okay.
Simple.
There's no such thing, man. IPA
Yeah.
is so complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, I'm not into the sours.
Okay.
I hear he make great sours.
We're about to try some, yeah.
That's not me.
You don't need any of that. All right.
And certain stouts, I'll
Okay.
try.
Okay.
But just a good IPA, one.
That's all you
and
need.
I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
You know, that's like I'm here today, just one, and I'm good.
One and done.
And I bought me some fruit.
That's fair enough. All right. Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
for being here, Everett. It's nice to meet you. Now, he says, like, maybe a stout, but you're a stout guy, Marcus. That's like your favorite style?
Yes.
Okay.
So he'll house them. He'll ask for them. He'll hit me up. Hey, what's this new release coming out?
Yeah.
I heard this is coming out. Okay, Dad, what do you want? I need one of those bottles in your brother's box.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, Dad.
What,
And
is he just
know-
following you on Twitter or something?
No,
Find
he
out your
doesn't even do
releases?
that. He waits till other people tell him what's going on. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
your dad's flipping the whales, dude.
Yeah.
Your dad's on the beer trade scene, I bet.
Hey, so that's what he told me one time. Was like, if I ever need some extra money, I'll just sell your beer and sell it.
Yeah. Well, he's not wrong.
I would do it too, man. Absolutely. You got to monetize your kids. That's the secret of life.
Yeah.
Monetize your children.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Said the new dad.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know.
Now, wait a second. I got to go back. I mean, I was kind of making a joke, but your dad, he's a corrections officer for 30-something years.
And that's the interview right there.
I mean, it was kind of strict at home, right? Like you couldn't fuck around.
Not at all.
I bet you got great grades.
A little bit. Not that great, but not enough to get the ass whooping. So
What? What was it? Give me an example of something that really would set your dad off. Like you knew that if this thing you did, he's gonna lose it on you.
Not get
Did he have
grades.
certain like you can't be catching you smoking pot out in the backyard? Like something. What's really gonna bother
I
him?
didn't try weed until I was after 20.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, even when it comes to that, drinking, I didn't start drinking until I was 21. I didn't try weed until I was after 20.
Okay.
So
by the book.
Hey, I didn't want to ass whooping, so I was straight and narrow.
Terrence,
legit. No,
yeah.
One thing I remember from being a kid, you don't walk into a room without acknowledging everybody in the room.
Oh.
And if you're leaving, you better tell everybody goodbye and give everybody a hug or something.
Yeah.
And so even walking in here, everybody out there that's with us,
Yeah, say hello. Yeah.
Hug to everybody.
So
but that's good, man. I like
that, and that's proper etiquette.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
really
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But I knew also because I mean, Sacramento, we saw each other a lot growing up.
Sure.
And so I knew that. I knew that
yeah.
when I saw my uncle. I was like, I better
See,
say
that
hello.
is good. Now, my Italian family on the East Coast, they're like that too. But I grew up here with my mom on the West Coast. But once a year, I go back and I spend a month or so. And I had to remember when I got there, when you walk, because I didn't have a lot of family out here. My mom and my stepdad, and out there, aunts, uncles, cousins, you name it. They're all over at my Aunt Gloria's house. You walk in that house and you don't go say and kiss everybody on the cheek in that house. My Aunt Gloria would smack me in the back of the head.
Exactly.
And I remembered quick every summer. I got reminded that this is just respectful. And then you say goodbye to everybody, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, see,
Manners.
my dad hated my entire family, and so that's what I learned. So I'm like the expert at slipping in like I'm in the Navy SEAL 6 team, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
And then slipping out just as awkwardly as Sully can sometimes. Where like suddenly, oh, where's everybody go? We left.
Yeah.
We're gone. We're out of here because that's just like because then you have to talk to your family, and no one wants to do that. At least, but now it's all different.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where did you work, Everett? What correctional facility were you at? They move you around?
My house.
What was your main?
My house.
Did you have a main one that you were at most of the time? Yeah, just get Sully doesn't need to see.
Right, yeah.
You get right in there.
Yeah.
Well,
That's right. There you go.
initially I started in the California Youth Authority.
Okay, so like juvenile.
Well, 17 to 25.
Okay.
Youth Authority.
I
That's
see.
Basically, when your Crips and your Bloods and all that stuff first start going to prison.
Yeah.
So that was in 1974.
Okay.
And then eventually I transferred up here to Ione to the Youth Authority there, Preston, where they used to call it the castle,
Okay.
the dungeon, all of that kind of stuff.
Really?
But I came in at the time where I was into a lot of psych programs when it first started in the department, so I was well trained in those areas.
I see.
So about 8 years after that, I went to Solano in Vacaville. So that's where I did all my time at.
But still with youth in Solano too? Or
No, the prison system, Vacaville, CMF, medical facility.
Okay.
But at that time, because of my youth training and the level, I was like at a level of lieutenant when I transferred over. I went straight to the counselor series.
I see.
And that's how I retired out as a supervisor over the counselors.
Okay.
So I never was in uniform, but yet I still was custody and captain gone and that kind of stuff.
So when you say, and I guess I got to do this, Marcus. I'm sorry, your dad's fascinating to me. So you got to just hang out for a sec. We got your beer in front of us. When you say correctional officer, to me, listening to you say what you did, you really mean that. In other words, you were there helping, and you had some of the psychological background to help people out. You were there to help correct and help people, not just like, hey, I got to keep you safe behind bars.
Well, it's a twofold thing. In the youth authority, you have the potential to change.
Okay.
When you go to CDC, as one sergeant told me, hey, you worked with the kids and you cared what they did.
Yeah.
Here, they did the crime, they do the time.
I see.
So
that was an
it just
adjustment.
it just depend on the philosophy, but that wasn't my
But
philosophy.
to give a story about my dad, about how respectable he is amongst even the correctional, dealing with the inmates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So one of my best friends growing up, we've been friends for years upon years upon years. His dad comes home from prison, right? So this is the first time that I've met his dad within us being friends. And we have been friends since about maybe 8th grade, right?
Okay.
I'm 34 now.
Wow.
So we're sitting in the house and we're sitting there talking, and his dad comes home from prison, right? So his dad, he introduces me to his dad. Oh, this is Marcus, blah, 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 blah. So his dad goes, oh, you look familiar, right?
Ah.
So one thing my dad always taught me was you got to be cautious, because of my career. You need to be cautious of dealing with certain individuals when you're out and about, different stuff like that, because you never know when somebody's going to try to retaliate or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
So I'm looking at him okay. I find myself drawing closer to the kitchen, trying to find a knife or something. Am I going to have to stab up my best friend's dad? I don't know what the hell's about to go on.
Jack Bauer, everybody.
So he goes, oh, what's your last name? Blah, 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 blah. So I tell him, Baskerville. Oh, is your dad Everett? Yeah.
Okay.
And it turns out that my dad was my best friend's dad's correctional counselor.
Okay.
In prison.
Wow.
And we never had any idea that, that was going on.
I see.
And it was even then, he was like, your dad was one of the most respectable people I've ever had to deal with. There's nothing to be worried about. Your dad is a great man.
Wow.
So that,
you put the
stuck
knife
with you.
down.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of walked away from the kitchen and was like, okay, I guess it's all right. And
Man.
so that kind of attests to the type of person. Even though you're dealing with inmates and stuff, there's always a way to treat people. And my dad has always treated people respectfully and great. So
maybe that's why when I joke about how strict your house might have been, it sounds to me, Everett, like your philosophy probably at home and at work was, I'm going to give you respect, and I'm probably going to get respect back. And as long as that's happening, everything's okay.
I'm going to give you respect, but if you don't respect me, I know how to take it.
Okay.
But, with Marcus, you asked him that question, and basically with him and my other boy is, hey, I've been dealing with all levels and type of people.
Yeah.
Everybody know my name.
Yeah.
So don't do anything to put yourself in the position to go to jail.
Yeah.
Because you don't know which one of them know my name. What their intent
from
would
that
be.
point of view.
Now I see what you're saying. I didn't even think about that part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd be fucking terrified of that.
Who doesn't like me?
This
Belly might not like me.
That one went okay. Oh, your dad's Everett.
Yeah.
Cool. But you end up behind bars and, your dad's Everett?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that side of it.
That's motivation.
Your dad's name, Mr. Baskerville?
Yeah, right. Well, and even with maybe if the house is a little strict, I could just imagine you spend your day disciplining people. You don't want to come home and do that too. And that's kind of maybe the part I think about where maybe your kid's got a shorter leash because if you're just like, I'm not saying they're out breaking the law, but you're like, listen, I got to come home and discipline you now. I just did that all day.
Well, my wife, we've been married 45 years.
Okay. Wow.
And her comment is, don't bring that shit at home. That don't work.
All right. Okay.
So,
yeah.
To you or to your boys?
Right. To me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, with my sons, I teach respect, parents, nephews. But if you try to be stern, then you close the door for them coming to you at any time.
Yeah.
So I'm one that
That's a good point.
keep the door open.
Okay.
So I'm not a stern guy.
You want them to feel comfortable to come talk to you.
Right. But understand I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't say goodbye to me when you leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
But this is more about Marcus, so let me get out there.
All right.
Well, I want to ask a quick question. I want to because Marcus had all these other careers basically before you became a brewer. So what was it like when he told you I want to open a brewery? Because I kind of had
to ask him. So my parents, my parents when I started home brewing, right, were the type, why are you spending all that money over there to get drunk? And I'm like, like I'm not making beer to get drunk. Like from jump when I realized that brewing was a passion of mine when I got into actually producing beer that you could drink.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what I want to do. And so from jump, I told him I have a plan. Oh, you're over there spending all that money on that homebrew equipment.
Yeah.
Over there spending money on this, blah, 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 blah. And then now my dad is the most proud father of all fathers.
Textile and nothing but Weathered Souls gear right here.
My sister graduated. My sister got her master's, and my sister said the entire time at the graduation, he kept talking about the brewery.
Oh, my gosh.
So that tells you how my parents are at this point.
It's a micro spokesperson right there.
It's just that Mark is very competitive.
Sure.
And so my other son out here, Mark has always wanted to be the best in everything. I do a lot of cooking, so my boys do a lot of cooking.
Yeah, Terrence is nodding
And so, it's always FaceTiming. I don't FaceTime, but they communicate.
Yeah.
Well, look at this and look at that, And so Marcus' philosophy always as a kid, why I have to stay kind of in contact with him, is if you're not first, you're last.
Okay. Yeah. So no matter what he was going to go into, he was going to have that mentality.
So he has that mentality.
Yeah. But I can understand the being a little worried about this beer nonsense for a minute. It kind of makes sense. They don't really know if you're doing it to get drunk or not get drunk. So it is nice to see that it's come full circle. But I probably would have been the same too.
For sure.
I'd have been like, "What are you doing?"
You really want to do this? I mean, you have a good job, and I think especially from like our parents' age, right?
Yeah.
You're taught you find a job and you stick with the job. If the job is good and the pay is good, you stick with the thing. Why change it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, when I told my
parents,
go change it.
Yeah,
I told my parents I wanted to open a brewery. There, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But just like your story, Marcus, I mean, my parents were the first ones in line when we opened up. My mom's crying. Now they're the biggest supporters.
Well, and now,
but at the time, just because of transition going from like this professional life to now you're going to, something foreign to them as being a brewer.
They have to wear jeans.
Now it's going to change. Now it's going to change again. One of your kids in this room is going to go into growing weed too, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to be like, "Why are you spending all that time on the weed?" Yeah. And then next thing you know, they're going to be a billionaire.
Hopefully,
because it's legal.
Yeah, my kid's going into YouTube, dude. Monetize that motherfucker.
When they light that bong, I'm doing market research.
From the second my first kid was born, I said, I need a retirement plan. And that's why I had 3. One of them has to be something.
Yeah.
So
they're all,
I don't care.
Your kids are all something.
There's something.
Something successful.
But you know what I mean? Like yesterday's I'm going into beer is today's I'm going into weed.
I'm opening an Instagram account.
It's different now. Yeah.
I want to be an influencer.
I think we should get all of the guests' parents in on the show.
I know. We should
need a segment.
It should be like Parent Day.
I agree. Yeah, do a little parent segment as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. Actually, we're not interested in you, Vinny.
Right.
Yeah.
We really want to do the show about your parents.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Well, I'm going to reverse the order here for a sec. Is that all right? Can we start with the stout?
So whatever.
Are you good with that? Does anybody care if we start with the stout?
You know what? This close to
then
4th
go
of
back
July,
to...
bro, you can do whatever you want.
Well, because we were talking about how it's Marcus, it's like his favorite style. So the stout we have is called Yemeni French Press. And I have it listed as, what is it, Imperial Milk Stout with coffee and caramel.
Yep.
Everett, how do you not like that beer? It's ridiculous. It's got everything you need in it. Tell us about this beer.
So this beer is a collaboration with a local coffee company in San Antonio. Well, actually, they're in Florida now because he moved. But basically, I like to try to feature local with a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Especially using treating ingredients, adjuncts, different stuff like that. So there was a local coffee company called Long Road, who's a good friend of mine, and he was making some pretty good coffee. So we decided to start a series called French Press. So within that, what we do is we highlight a coffee from a specific region. So we've done Rwanda French Press, which was a coffee from Rwanda. We did the Yemeni French Press, and currently we're doing a Thai French Press. So Yemeni French Press is coffee from Yemen, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We had to make sure it was free trade, free of supporting terrorism, all that type of stuff. No, seriously.
No, I know,
Yeah,
but
like,
it's such a weird thing to like have to monitor
have to
when
worry
you're buying
about.
coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wait, is there like a database? Like, how do you?
So
I'm
there's
being
like
serious.
a database
Okay.
that he can research
Okay.
and look at what farm it's coming from and different things like that, making sure it's not supporting any different terrorism groups.
I feel like that needs to be open source. I feel like we all need that information.
Everyone should know that.
Yeah.
So, and then the other part of the aspect of this beer is what we do is I try to highlight a specific dessert or ingredient from that region.
All right.
So creme caramel is a Yemeni dessert that they make, which is pretty much just caramel, like a creamier caramel. So that's what we implemented in the secondary edition of this beer.
How did you? Do you just Google that, or do you know
For this particular one, actually, I just Googled it.
Okay.
Like researched
I mean, I'm just
different
checking.
desserts and stuff.
I don't know. Maybe someone who works for you is from Yemen.
Marcus, I have an idea. It's a great idea for you. We come from the region of caramel. You've heard of caramel before?
Yeah.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. I love the thing.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
So like the Thai French press though that we have coming out, I actually have a friend in LA that owns a Thai restaurant. So I contacted her and was like, hey, what are some good desserts that go with coffee? So she sent me a list of some stuff and kind of ran with that.
Nice.
But for the other two previous, I kind of just Googled, what's popular in this region or what's some popular desserts, that type of thing. And then we've been trying to do that.
Okay.
So this one is about a 10.8, 11%, stout. We'll boil for about 5 hours to make sure, it has a nice little viscosity to it.
Wow.
Does have lactose, give that, creaminess, milkiness to it. And so, it's been one of our more popular can series that we come out with.
What about the caramel, though? You didn't mention how that goes in there.
So the caramel I added in the boil and in secondary.
And what is that just like sticky ass, difficult to use caramel? Or what?
So I actually made the caramel from scratch.
You did?
It was
vegan. Wow.
Vegan caramel. Yeah, we used coconut milk and to make it vegan. And
wow.
I
This is your hippie
made
beer.
it in a 1 barrel. Yeah, made it in a 1 barrel kettle, and me and my brewer's assistant dumped it in a whole bunch of buckets and took it to the kettle and dumped it in.
Wow.
Do you have the one vegan in Texas coming to your brewery? Why would you even care?
I will not drink this. Is this vegan?
That's a quote unquote popular thing. So I said, it wouldn't hurt to make sure that it's vegan.
There's
Right.
2 now.
Oh, okay. Right.
So, San Antonio's growing up.
Oh, right, yeah.
There's 2.
And
I
after
didn't
tasting
even
this
know-
beer, that's when they came up with the idea.
I didn't even know caramel was made with milk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Learn something every day.
Yeah. I think almost anything that tastes good is made with milk.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
that's why vegans are so angry.
And a shit ton of sugar.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm kidding, vegans. You're not angry.
No, they're angry.
They are.
This is a great beer.
Vegans and CrossFitters.
It's it's a dessert beer.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of going that route by picking a local dessert with
sure.
What you do.
Yep.
5-hour boil, man.
It is. That is crazy.
Yeah,
This
so
guy.
our stouts pretty much standard are about 5 hours, 3-5 hours.
Okay.
And then depending on if it's a bottle release, those go anywhere from 5 to 24, depending on.
What do you boil?
24 hours.
boil?
Why would
Bro.
yeah? So we actually did a imperial stout called Habitual Line Stepper.
Okay.
from the Chappelle skit, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so that beer was actually it wasn't going to be planned. Originally, it was going to be a 12-hour boil. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let this go 24 hours and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Did you leave or were you there like hanging out? Or?
So I double mashed. We double mashed.
Later
It was
back
a
in
full
the
20
morning.
barrel batch. Yeah. And basically I was like, okay, so, we have alarms, different stuff like that. I run steam there, so it's not like I have to worry about direct fire. So I said, you know what? I waited for a while and I said I'm gonna go home. Right? if I get any alarms, then I know there's the issue and I'll just come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean we did a 24-hour boil. We boiled off about 130 gallons. Wow.
So okay, here's what I'm confused about. Why?
Why not? I mean, it was one of those situations where it was just like, why not? Something.
Well, but
something different.
I'm sure there's in other words, could you have gotten the same character?
I
Could
think
you
I
have
probably could have gotten the same character maybe in
and the same
8
gravity,
hour,
and
8
but
hour.
even that, I'm even
But
talking
it
about that.
ended up at 44 bricks. So
Whoa. But wait, even that. So I'm talking about even with the 4 or 5 hour boil. Is the reason partly because you can't get enough gravity out of the mash tun?
No, so
Okay.
I can get the gravity that I want out of the mash tun.
Okay.
The longer boils is to contribute more towards the flavoring of the stout. I want
So like melanoid and
exactly create
Okay.
some of that caramelization,
Okay.
different things like that to bring out some of those flavors within the stout.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at.
And then also dealing with the viscosity. So I want that full body kind of chewy aspect to the beer.
You got that.
Yeah. And so that's why we typically boil a little bit longer than what you need to.
What's the attenuation on a 44 bricks beer?
It finished at 20.
20 bricks?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Real viscous then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, as far as you figure a lot of beers start at 20, 21.
Right.
It's actually not that sweet. I don't know. I was completely
No, not at all.
surprised about, I had to feed oxygen into it for 3 days. I had to pitch about 30 gallons of yeast, so 2 half-barrel yeast brinks.
Because it was too sugary, or what?
It just wouldn't finish out.
It just wouldn't finish.
Yeah.
out.
So much sugar, yeah.
Right.
So much sugar that
they
the
got
yeast just
tired.
kept- pretty much.
Send in reinforcements.
You know what it was? It was California yeast trying to make beer in fucking Texas.
That's right. Yeah.
And they got tired, and they're hippies.
It was Terrence yeast.
Yeah, that's right.
They got lazy. They didn't want to lift anything.
I don't want to
anymore.
lift anything.
Yeah.
You should have hired Texas yeast
That's
for
right.
that beer.
Too tired chasing after his kids. He's done.
Yeah. That's a good beer, though.
It's really good, and
Yeah.
it's roasty, and I don't want to say ashy, but there is like an ashy quality to it.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I think it matches with that caramel, with that lactose, and it's sort of unique in that way.
Yeah, when did you brew it?
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yemeni was, what is it, July now? So maybe May?
Oh,
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That does not taste like a, what is that, 2-month-old beer?
Yeah, maybe.
And that's very, very good.
That's what happens when you
Did
boil.
you package it
I think
all?
the boiling adds age also.
I've actually, the first day we opened, we brewed a batch. It's still boiling.
Yeah, still boiling.
We had to get a second kettle.
Yeah.
This is,
It's a
we
nice
can't
beer.
say this often on the show. This is a very unique beer. I've never had a beer like this because sometimes, like I said, it's a little, the acrid, but it works really well in the beer,
Mhm.
and it's kind of unlike anything I've had.
And
I
sometimes
really
to
like
get
this.
that viscosity, you've actually left it too sweet, as
Mhm.
opposed.
right.
So you added viscosity rather than boiling to that point. I think that might be a difference.
There's nothing that you can drink that you can say that it's like.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
very unique.
Yeah.
You should lay some cans down.
I like it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Save
for
that.
sure. That's a good beer. That's a very, and I love the concept of doing the regional desserts with the coffee.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, man.
Yeah, that's
I love
unique
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, something different that not many people are nobody's doing.
Why
right now.
are you just a dessert guy? What made you think of that?
Well,
You know, I don't know, sometimes
I like dessert. That's why I did it.
when it comes to our stouts, there's that whole pastry craze, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
I've always been about balance, especially being from Northern California, heavy IPA guy,
Okay.
that type of thing. I've always been about balance. So the whole pastry craze is fine, but I do not drink
Bet you don't like 'em.
overly sweet beers at all.
Sure.
Like, I can't do it.
No.
So my
'Cause
whole
you're a
thing
human.
was So
Right.
my whole thing was trying to create a stout that still gives the pastry boys what they want, but then also creating a balance within the beer that it's approachable to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
You never know. Like Bevo's never seen a dessert cart that she didn't love. Going by the restaurant. So.
Okay, that was rude, but also true.
But also true. I didn't know if that was your thing. All right. Well, now we got some mixed fermentation beer too.
Yes.
Which is another thing that you.
So
you
we've
like
kind
to
of
make.
just started getting into mixed fermentation. I've always been scared of infecting the brewery. So I never really wanted to get into it. But what ended up happening is my wife, her grandfather passed away a few years ago. And so she's kind of a beer fan, not too much. She drinks sours and stouts. So she asked me to brew a sour and like a commemorative of him. So this was before we opened the brewery. So I had took a whole bunch of dregs from a whole bunch of different breweries: Jester King, Miraz, DeGard, Sante, Little Cantillon. Might have been one more in there.
Okay.
But pretty much what I did was created a whole bunch of dregs and built up a starter on it.
That's a real mixed fermentation.
Yeah. Built up a starter, basically pitched it, and we did yellow watermelon. But the process of it came out really good and really balanced that type of thing.
Yellow watermelon?
Yeah, yellow. So Texas has yellow watermelon.
That blew my mind right now.
He had to also. Sully has a trademark on everything.
If he would have said
on
something
the red
else,
watermelon,
we talked about this before the show. I said you can talk about the water, but you have to say yellow in front of
Exactly.
it.
This beer is called Yellow
so
High
Texas
Watermelon.
has a version of
Yeah, yellow high watermelon.
Hey, I heard collaboration. That's all I heard.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But don't say the other thing.
Yeah,
Because
Texas has
there's a bank of
yellow
lawyers
watermelon.
behind me.
So, needless to say, I wanted to start getting into mixed fermentation. So, Mike Miraz is a really good friend from Miraz Brewing Company up in El Dorado Hills, and Jeffrey Stuffing is a really good friend from Jester King.
Oh yeah.
So basically, I went to them at separate times, got a little bit of information about trying to deal with mixed fermentation, not infecting my brewery, different things like that. So we moved, and I was cleaning out the garage, and there was a full growler in the garage. I'm like, what the hell is this, right? And you figure our garage does not go below 90-ish, 85 degrees, right? The entire year, period. And so I was like, what the hell is this? Like, whatever it is, it's trash. So I'm getting ready to throw it away, and I open it. And I realized that it's the dregs from the sour yeast from the original starter that I did. And it still smelled amazing.
Really?
I'm like, what the hell? So I was like, you know what? We're going to try something out. So I built up a few different starters. We went and got some red wine barrels, and that's what started our sour program.
Okay.
So I did a base version. I did a version with peaches and mangoes, which what you guys have, and
It's the one in our glass now, yeah.
And then I did a version with cherries and raspberries.
Okay.
So pretty much they both finished around 3.4, 3.3. Treated everything after the fact, so waited till it reached whatever pH I wanted. Ended up adding a ton of fruit to both of them. Let it re-ferment, and then we bottle conditioned, and to me they came out pretty good.
This is why you're crazy, man, because you took this growler of dregs that didn't get below 85, and you go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest a bunch of money into it just to see if it works.
Yeah.
I think anybody would have thrown it out.
Hey, I ran it by my business partner, and he was okay with it, so we were like, hey, we'll see how it goes. And
that's a good business partner, because this is a great.
Well, what's amazing about him, what's amazing about him that I discovered is, so recently, a bunch of people from the Brewers Association came to the brewery because CBC is next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were coming to scope out a different couple locations. So I was opening some old bottles for them, different things like that. And my business partner was like, oh, this is great. Oh, I've never had this before. And I'm like, wait a second, like, this came out 6 months ago. What do you mean you've never had this before?
But it's changed.
Yeah, but he's like, I'm like, man, you have that much trust in what I'm doing.
Oh, he really hadn't had it. Okay.
Yeah, to be able to where you're not trying every beer that I produce, because if it was the other way around and I'm trying everything that you're coming out with.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That would be in our contract.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
And so, it's nice to have that type of relationship with him, but he trusted me on it, and I made sure I had a little bit of research and spoke with a few people that are obviously successful in mixed fermentation, and so we ran with it.
Well, I'm going to say, I'm listening to you tell a story about all the different dregs, how you're making this really mixed culture, and I put my nose in the glass, and I'm listening, and I'm like, oh, man, uh-oh. It smells a little weird. I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. And then I taste it, and like JP says, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
It's complex. It is a true mixed fermentation. It's got a little bit of everything going on. It tastes great. It was just, the aroma was just funky enough that I was like, oh, this could go either way.
Yeah, so for the peach mango, I think I let it sit on the fruit a little bit too long.
I don't know. It's still great.
Yeah, it still came out pretty good. But my favorite so far has been that raspberry cherry.
Well, we got that in our glass too.
Yeah.
I haven't smelled this one yet.
And so these are the first editions of these beers, and the first batch of the culture. Are you going to repitch?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on the next set right now.
Folks, it's the Reverence series, by the way. Reverence Wild Ale. The first one was the Reverence Peaches and Mango. Now this one, the aroma is just solid, awesome.
It smells like fruit puree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like very concentrated.
Fresh fruit puree, yeah.
Really bright.
Mm-hmm. It's bright, yeah. I haven't tried it yet either.
Yeah, and at this point, I want to say the raspberry cherry is almost a year old. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's got a little Rosé de Gambrinus in it.
So it was aged in red wine barrels.
Okay.
A little tannin, I think, too, from the red wine.
Yeah.
The
Low carbonation.
Yeah.
The acidity and the tannins really help finish that out. From the aroma, you get all that sweet fruit character. I was really surprised in a good way that it just dried right out in the finish.
Yeah, you're
You get all that
expecting it to
flavor.
be sweet. I mean, it's got this super sweet aroma. But yeah, it's got a nice tartness to it as well.
I'd love to try it without the wine.
So we actually do have a base version of it.
Yeah?
But I only have 6 bottles left, and I wanted to enter it in GABF. So
Okay. Fair enough.
I didn't send any of that.
No worries, no worries.
And we can't give you a medal, so
Yeah.
Go
Not
for
today.
So all of this Wild Ale series is done with this original blend that you did that sat in your garage.
Yep.
That's impressive.
That's a great story.
Yeah, really, yeah, especially because people are like, "F this guy." I've been working on this for years, and my sours don't taste like that.
So what are you doing? Just using infected barrels? Are you repitching? I mean, how are you?
So no, actually, we're using fresh barrels and repitching. I haven't gotten to using or reusing barrels at this point yet. So I've been basically, I bought a whole bunch of those 1-barrel Speedles, and then once it was done reaching the pH I want, transferred over to the 1-barrel Speedles, pitch fruit, and then bottle out of the Speedles.
What is that? What is a 1-barrel Speedle?
Actually, your sponsor more beer sells.
It's the plastic.
And they're the huge plastic, thick HD whatever.
Fermenters.
Yeah.
Are they conical too, or just like a barrel type
Those
of
are
thing?
the white plastic with the orange top.
Orange top, exactly.
Yeah, so they're like the wide mouths. You can clean them out or whatever.
Exactly, and that was the main thing.
Got it.
Because they're the wide mouths, it was easy to add fruit.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, go more beer.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
They're trying.
Nice cross promotion, Marcus.
Trying to tie that in a little
Way to
bit.
pull in the sponsor, really effortlessly there.
Yeah. He's read the Sean O'Sullivan book to marketing.
That's right. Yeah, we hand it out now to every guest. Now that Sully's back,
Here's your PDF.
Yeah.
Please be familiar with the subject matter before attending class.
In 2 minutes, you have to talk about Drake's, by the way.
And did you say puree is how you add the fruit too?
So
It is? Okay.
actually, we used whole fruit and puree.
Okay.
So with the cherry raspberry, it was raspberry puree, and then whole cherries, and then the peach mango, it was peach puree, and then whole mangoes.
Okay.
So
I like your halfway style.
Yeah.
10 gallons if you're not sure, half fruit, half puree. You're a 50% guy.
Yeah.
It's always going to go well if you just go 50%.
If you put in 50% of the effort, it's always going to be a
I
success.
feel like he puts in 100% of the effort, but he hedges his bets by 50% is what it is.
Yeah.
Terrence is the 50% effort cousin.
Wow.
If we're lucky.
I don't like those type of things.
I'm sure Terrence is more of a 7%er, but that's just me. I don't know.
These are all good.
Mathematics.
Yeah, they're really nice beers.
These are very good. Very good. Well, thank you for being here and talking with us, man, and coming all the way out
thank
here
you
to
for
do the
having me.
show. We're going to do another segment where we screw around a little bit, but we have another bottle of your beer, so if you want to stick around with us, I would love that.
Screw around segment.
I got a little beer news to do. In fact, I found an article about beer influencers. You were mentioning.
Oh, God, I love beer influencers. They're so important.
Find out if we were listed as a beer influencer. It was like a top beer influencer list that I wanted to cover.
If Shimkey's on that list and we're not, I swear to God.
I'm going to vomit and then juice my own vomit. If that happens.
I'm going to drink more of this peaches and mango.
Yeah, the peaches and mango are
I like
great.
the beer a lot.
Mr. Baskerville isn't a fan of the sours, though, huh? I switched over to that because I
Pops
feel
doesn't
like
drink 'em.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
It's respectful.
I got a little
yeah.
too close, and now I feel like he needs me to go back to Mr. Baskerville, so that I don't get tackled on my way out of the studio.
Just make sure you say bye to him.
yeah, that's right.
Kiss him on the cheek.
Kiss him on the cheek, exactly.
Yeah, he's gonna come around to the sour beer though eventually. It always happens.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to because IPAs, you can only go so long in that target, right?
Yeah.
What were you drinking before IPAs, Everett?
Hennessy.
Hennessy.
Oh, Hennessy.
Oh, yeah, he said
that
that.
is
I
healthy.
like an IPA.
Bevo's clapping back there. Bevo does love her some Hennessy.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a true fact. What about your mom? Does she like beer? She doesn't have any of your beer.
No,
Or Hennessy,
my mom, she's into wine, but I recently got her. So I had a newborn last month.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And so she came home, and I actually got her to drink a beer mimosa. So I say that's success if I got her to do that.
This is a trip to me, by the way.
The
because
baby or your mom?
My mom.
Oh, okay.
The baby chugged the beer, no problem.
I grew up in a family that doesn't drink
At all.
at all.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in that. I got chased. I got chased up the stairs by my grandmother one time because I was taking a Jello shot with all of the other cousins doing the same thing.
I see.
And so it's really strange to hear this because I didn't know my uncle drank until you started a brewery.
I see.
That's when I found out. So this is
Terrence
really
is the
strange.
pastor, so he's not giving you the whole story. So the pastor is not supposed to drink.
Because
That's right.
And do you feel like everyone around him was worried that he would judge you if he caught you all drinking?
No, so it wasn't about that. It was more so our grandma.
Okay,
Our
okay,
grandma
okay.
is the one that's like, no.
She got
you
Jesus
guys,
on
yeah.
speed dial.
But Terrence,
And
he
she's
was
like, Terrence is going to save us. He's
yeah, exactly.
He's the only one. The rest of you heathens in the
Do
One
your
of you-
Jello shots.
One of you
Yep.
spends your days in prison, and the other one's going into beer.
He's like the
Yeah.
lead character in Dune.
But then what's also crazy is, our grandma is that way now, but our grandma used to actually brew beer during Prohibition.
Real.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
You got a
And
recipes?
I wish.
No, she
I've
won't do
asked.
it.
Yeah.
She used to brew beer in a bathtub.
Yeah,
and
she
then
used to brew beer in the bathtub with raisins and
Yeah.
all that type of
Really?
stuff. And basically,
Yeah.
her story is that, this is during Prohibition in Kansas. And so she used to make beer and she used to make moonshine. And somebody was on a roof doing some construction and drinking some moonshine, and they fell off the roof. And being a young black woman in Kansas at that time, it was like, please, Lord, don't let the white man take me away today.
Yeah.
And if
Because I hurt this idiot.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
And
I heard him.
If if the police don't come, then she basically promised not to make beer or moonshine again.
That was her deal.
That was her deal.
Yeah.
And so the police never came, took her away, and so
And she
that's
never-
when she stopped.
Wow.
And so our grandma is 91 at this point, and 92.
91
And
October.
still and
91 in
never did it
October.
again?
And so, I try to call her every so often to see if it might spark some memory. Like, Grandma, you remember? And at least once every 2 months. Grandma, you remember? I don't remember that.
I ask once a week. She won't give it out.
But
Do you know how many deals I have made with God in my life that I have not kept up on? And I'm always like, you're gonna forgive me.
You went back
You
on it.
already know I'm an idiot.
Right.
So I
He
know
accepts you.
Yeah. That's what I always
Yeah,
feel.
but she's 91.
But she stuck to it.
Yeah, so we have,
Wow.
some brewing pedigree within us
she's a good
from,
woman.
years upon years ago.
Yeah. That is fascinating though, and I wonder. Yeah, I was thinking like, some like awesome pre-prohibition lager, but no, you're like, there's the raisins, like who
Yeah.
knows, whatever fermentables maybe she could find
Exactly.
at some point,
Well,
right?
and I think the raisins. So my grandpa in Greece was the village idiot. No, he was the village.
Yeah.
He was like the winemaker. So everyone had little vineyards and would make wine. And so he would do. He had in Greece we have one hydrometer,
Right.
And we share and he would go and do the tests, and he would go, okay, well this needs a little more sugar. So he would take a bag of raisins,
Okay.
and put them in there to increase the gravity. So maybe it was something like that also.
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
That's how you get the
Fermentable. Oh, wouldn't it be great to try? Would it be great to just unearth some bottle somewhere?
Exactly.
You know, in some box.
Try to even reproduce it as like a small batch or something.
Yeah. But you say now you ask her from time to time, and she's just not able to really recall.
Yeah, she doesn't really recall.
Okay.
She might, but she ain't gonna give it up.
Right.
I mean, but that's the
She totally knows. She knows all the recipes to all the stuff in the family. She just won't tell us.
Yeah.
I think it's at this point she really just won't tell us.
Do you think it's in a diary somewhere?
It actually is, and one of our aunts has it.
Mm-hmm. You got to talk to that aunt.
Right, you got to go. She's not giving it up because there's recipes in there that they don't want to share.
Wait, which aunt is it? Which aunt
What
is
is
it?
going on
Finny
here?
has it.
I'll have it by next week.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Auntie, I'm
Are you
gonna
gonna hold the
I'll-
pastor card?
I am actually.
Okay.
I'll house
Oh.
everybody's favorite. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Just say I'll house it for you. Go on vacation. I'll house it for you.
There you go. She's like almost 70.
The whole house will be tossed like a cop show. Everywhere.
You have scanning equipment. You know.
I just like all the little family dynamics going on here.
Yeah.
You know, Grandma's not going to tell anymore because at this point it's just a game. I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
Auntie knows, but she's not going to tell. What does she get out of that?
Right.
Well, that's the problem. It's like she's the most anti.
Auntie.
Like anti-alcohol of the entire family.
Right.
And so she definitely doesn't want.
But
people
this is
knowing
written
that.
down somewhere.
Yeah.
It's in a book.
It's in a cookbook.
It's in a
You
cookbook.
got to get that cookbook.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's go get it right now. Let's do
I know.
a showdown. I want to see what's going on here.
She's like the maester of your family.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to
What?
recruit some like private detectives from Mr. Baskerville's past to help us break in.
Yeah.
We just need a few photos of the thing.
Exactly.
Stop.
That's right. Where's James Bond when we need him?
Yeah. Well, that's fun stuff. You have a great story, Marcus. I'm glad that you have entered the brewing world because you're making great beer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing it with us. Go check them out at Weathered Souls Brewing. It's in San Antonio, Texas. You can go to weatheredsouls.beer and learn more about it. And I read on your website that you release a beer every Thursday.
Yeah.
Is that
so
accurate?
we have
That's
small
cool.
batch Thursdays. So,
Wow. Every single Thursday, you guys put out a beer.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it started as like trying to, do a little one-off stuff outside of like our core, and it ended up being a popular trend that, now, so I kind of have to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Gotta do it.
I have changed the saying to no good idea goes
it's
unpunished.
like we open at 11 on Thursdays, and if we don't post about the beer by 1 o'clock, people are like, "Are you guys releasing a beer today?"
Oh my gosh!
Yes,
yeah.
of course we are.
Yeah.
We're running a little bit late.
You're like, really? Because it's 11:59.
Yeah. Hello.
Well, probably was a good idea to begin with, and that's fun anyway. It kind of, like us fickle beer lovers, we want something new every week, so that's cool.
Keeps
smart way
people
to
on
do
their
it.
toes and keeps people excited to come to the brewery.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, if you want to learn about that and more, go to weatheredsouls.beer. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do a little bit of little beer news.
I love it.
And we'll wrap up our amazing Twitter game.
Yeah.
You guys got some good,
Really?
Okay.
The Twitterverse surprises me.
All right.
Oh. Yeah.
Hang in there. You're listening
Thanks,
to the
Karen.
session, and we'll be right back.
Wilson from Firestone Walker Brewing Company, and you're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
Welcome back to the session. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We got a lot going on here today. Everett Jr. the Third has joined us in the studio as well. It's Family Day here on the Brewing Network.
is.
Terrence's family day anyway,
my family
which is
day.
fine. The rest of us don't have family, so we'll just use yours as our family. And I was listening to Everett Jr. the Third speak with his younger brother Marcus, who's our brewer guest today, of course.
I need a flow chart.
And Everett pointing out he can almost do no wrong because he's got the namesake. He carries on the name. Marcus over here, maybe he's the golden boy with his brewery, but he gets held to a standard. But Everett here, like you just get to skate on through, right?
Yep, just move on through.
Do you have kids, Everett?
I have 2.
Have you named one of them Everett yet?
No. We skipped Everett.
You did.
And we went with Gage Falcon.
Are you kidding me right now? You're on the Terrence naming spectrum.
Exactly. I am. I had to try to outdo him.
So, Terrence, give us all your kids' names just so we know here.
Jackson Danger,
Yeah.
Tommy Legend, and Francis Wild.
Okay, and Everett, what is it again?
Gage Falcon.
Man, Everett Jr. the Third clearly doesn't watch enough Mike Myers movies.
Yeah.
With the Danger.
Yes.
I can't remember Austin Powers.
Austin Powers, yeah. No, he went another direction.
Yeah, he went a very much more mature direction.
Marcus, what are your kids' names? Your kids are going to be like Paul and Mary.
No, so I have 2 daughters.
Okay.
So I have
Paul and Mary.
Niara Elizabeth and Nova Sky.
Okay, so now you guys aren't too. You're all very creative.
You're all crazy.
Try to be.
Very creative names.
But if he had a boy, he was going to name him Porter.
Okay.
So,
Had to give him a beer.
Dope. I like that.
All right.
Okay.
Do you think, though, that Dad's mad that there's not going to be another Everett, or is that still not out of the cards?
It's definitely out of the cards.
It's out of the cards. Okay.
But I don't think. No, he doesn't mind.
He's not upset that it's. It could come back. One of your kids could have a
That
kid.
Joker's out of the deck.
I had to kind of, it was a conditioning.
I
that
see.
we weren't but he didn't mind.
Okay. Oh, you
had to work him into it.
That's what you had to talk to him about.
I had to talk to him about it.
Okay. So there was a moment that he was a little butthurt about the whole thing.
If he was, he didn't show it.
Okay. All right. He kept it cool.
That's the
He
Department
seems
of
like
Corrections training.
I know he does seem like a guy who keeps it cool.
Yeah.
Like I do like how he said, "Hey, I just wanted to keep an open door with you guys," but also. I'm not sure he ever showed a lot of emotion. He was like, I'm keeping an open door. We're cool. Everything's cool. We're all cool, right? Everybody's cool? Cool? You cool? I'm cool. Everybody's
Very
cool, right?
50s, like 50s style. Yeah. Am I right? Is he very even keel type of guy?
Yeah, he's pretty even keel.
Yeah.
I mean, when it came to Marcus and our sister,
Yeah.
he was already trained.
I see.
You
You would already run him through the
right,
ringer.
I've already run him through the ring. So whatever I did, then
Yeah.
he made the adjustments from there. So when my sister came around, she being a girl and the third kid,
Right.
she had smooth selling.
Okay.
Smooth selling.
Okay. All
Should
right.
we try to get a Terrence story out of these 2?
Yeah, do you guys have any good...
Man, not about the 2 of them though. That's a weird. I don't know.
No.
A story about
My fondest memory about Terrence is so Terrence used to be a fine collector of toys as a child.
Oh yeah,
this is true. Many toys.
Yeah, Terrence. Used
Wait,
to get,
does that mean that he stole your toys?
No.
Okay.
Terrence used to have buckets and buckets and buckets of toys, right? So
Wow.
mind you, my brother's 7 years older than me. Terrence is 5 years older than me.
Okay.
4 or 5 years older than me. That type of thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I go to his house and I want to play with all the toys. But Terrence was one of those individuals, nobody's playing with my toys but me.
Oh, man.
Okay. It's not wrong.
So that's what I remember most about Terrence, is going to his house. And Terrence was one of those ones that had all the damn toys, right?
Man.
So he used to be really into like the WWF wrestlers, so he had the whole
ring,
the whole entire ring,
There we go.
all of the fighters, the belt, everything. Hey, but you could never touch any of them.
That's right.
My God, Terrence!
Hey, you got to be careful because if you hit them too hard, you smudge them up. And
They were made of rubber.
Can't scrape that paint.
This was the 80s. They were made out of rubber.
Yeah, let's be real.
But the excuse that he used to use is, My dad said we can't play with my toys.
Oh, that really wasn't an excuse though. My dad did say that.
Are you kidding
One
me
time
right
he
now?
did.
No,
When you were going to
never
bed.
said
Yeah,
that.
he did.
In your head, he said that.
Yeah, possibly.
Because you needed a reason.
Yeah,
My
right.
dad was Terrence.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Man.
So we used to stay. Well, me, Terrence,
Yeah.
and Will used to stay at our grandma's house.
Oh man.
In Compton during the summer times.
Yeah.
So Terrence or Will would bring their Nintendo, and we would play pro wrestling.
Okay.
Terrence had one of the, sticking with the wrestling, he had one of the WWF belts from the 80s. And we would play pro wrestling on Nintendo for hours and hours and hours, and just move the belt.
Whoever won got the belt.
Yeah, whoever got the belt.
I never got that belt back. I don't think I ever beat them enough to get the belt back. So I don't
No.
know where
You
that
shouldn't have
thing
brought
is
it.
anymore.
I mean, you should have left it at home. Man.
Yeah.
Make one out of cardboard. What are you
That's
doing?
true. If you didn't win the last game of the day, when
It's
you
not
went
your belt.
home with your Nintendo, you don't go home with the
exactly.
belt.
Exactly.
Nice.
And they were bigger than me. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's only fair, dude. Can't
Yeah.
button smash in real life.
What now? Growing up in Compton, he won't talk to us about it. He's like, "Oh, it's fine. Everything's fine."
I didn't grow up in Compton.
He just said you spent your summers in Compton.
Oh, okay.
We spent summers there.
So, I mean, was it fine, or you had to lock yourselves inside and play Nintendo for it to be fine? Could you go
Yes.
ride your
Well,
bike
we
around
had-
the neighborhood, or what?
We could do that.
Okay.
But there was times we went too far.
Okay.
So we
couple
we
blocks
had-
too far.
So Will lived 4 or 5 houses down from our grandmother.
Okay.
And then we have another cousin, play
Play
that
cousin.
lived right 5 houses down in the other direction, which is Will's best friend.
Okay.
So that was our scope.
That's your
yeah, we can
perimeter.
move. That's our perimeter.
Okay.
Right there. So, but our play cousin's brother, he had scooters, and so Will, Terry.
When he says scooters, mopeds.
Mopeds.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mopeds.
So there's
Okay.
like 5 of us.
Yeah,
Jumped on 2 mopeds.
Oh.
Rode them to the other side of LA.
5 of us.
Yeah, with the,
wait a
with the
second.
tires are
We
flat,
went-
probably.
To go play basketball.
We went to Watts, and so
good.
if you look at it, so it'll be from going from where we are right now to like downtown Martinez without
Yeah.
our grandmother knowing where we are.
I know where you're talking about, and
Okay.
it's not as if Watts is in the right direction.
Oh no!
Yeah.
It's deeper.
Okay.
It's deeper in the wrong direction.
Okay.
I see.
And someone was on the handlebars?
But
How do you
now,
get 3 people?
wait, did you get caught?
When we got back,
When we got back.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that we spent the rest of our time inside.
Inside,
Well, actually,
playing Nintendo.
Our grandmother, who was, 70 at the time? Maybe about 65, 70 years old at the time, 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing pounds,
Yeah.
is somehow manhandling all 3 of us.
Sure.
Okay, but she's beating us all the way down the street to Will's house. Drops Will off.
Disciplining you,
No,
Terrence.
she's beating us. All the way down to Will's house, drops him off at the house, and beats the 2 of us all the way back to
Oh
her
my
house
gosh!
as well.
Yeah.
I feel
All
like-
while riding a moped herself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you obviously gave her the wrestling belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, she won.
Yeah.
She won.
I
She
feel
is the
like
champion.
women back then, like back in the day, like grandmas especially, they had much more coordination. I feel like than now because
Yeah.
you can drive a car and swing at your kids,
Yeah.
and not get into a wreck, hit the stop signs,
Absolutely.
not hit anybody else, and then continue on through the house, and then everything is still fine.
You're right.
Yeah.
We've babied our parents
That's true.
nowadays.
That's
they
true.
don't have
Yeah.
all these skills anymore.
Yeah, I haven't
Sully,
developed that
Sully
in my
can't
dad.
do all those
Right.
things.
No.
He's been babied as a parent. You know.
You go beat Ian.
Yeah.
He didn't
So-
develop the homing fist. That you could just go back in the back seat and just hit the kid automatically.
Right. I was with my babysitter every day, and she was allowed to beat us
Wait,
too.
what?
Yeah, I was at a nanny every day. I had the working parents, right? So
Yeah.
I would get dropped off in Whittier, as a matter of fact, and we had a radius too. We were allowed to go, about 2 or 3 blocks right there, and if we went past that, back in my day, also. Mama gave my babysitter permission to do the honing punch.
Yeah,
If I'm acting up in the back seat, he was smacked upside the head.
Wow.
So
Stop playing with your dick, Justin. Bam.
again.
Yeah.
You'll go blind.
Yeah.
Bam.
But you know what? I have nothing but fond memories, and I felt like it was nice to have someone keep me in line. To be honest with you, now that I think about it,
To this day, I like getting punched in the
right,
head.
I mean, I
frankly,
could totally start hitting you if you want.
the truth is, I'm a fucking maniac without anybody giving me some rules. So I feel like it worked out just fine.
There you go.
Well, speaking of worked out just fine, This beer in our glass wasn't even on my beer list, but it's one of my favorites of yours. What is this beer?
So that's Intercontinental Stout Team Champions.
Okay.
Nice. So that's,
wrestling.
A little wrestling reference that we did a collab with Kyle from Inu Island Ales in.
That's good.
He's in Oahu, so he used to be a former brewer from Roz.
Okay.
So we've been friends for years, that type of thing, and we're like, finally let's do a beer. So this one's kind of same thing, thick imperial stout. With this one's with vanilla and a geisha coffee. So geisha coffee, the one that we used in our process for using coffee, kind of like cold steeping, right? So the same process as like making cold brew. So you don't extract any of that like bitterness or anything like that out of the coffee. Well, you extract some of those other flavors from it, so you get the like green tea, some of that berry characteristic, stuff like that. So this has actually been like the favorite coffee that we've worked with thus far.
That's great.
It's really good.
It's very complex and gives different notes to the stout, and it just it's crazy because when we came out with it, some people don't like to read, right? So within like the
what is going on in San
within
Antonio?
like the description, within the description of the beer, we put that there's these type of flavors within the characteristic of the beer based on the coffee.
Okay.
So there were people that were like, "Oh, this tastes like fruit. Oh, there must be some type of infection dealing with this beer." Blah 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 blah.
I mean, people online know more than you do. That's weird.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But that's just the natural flavors that geisha coffee produces from using a super expensive coffee. And it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to use this super expensive coffee, then of course I want the notes from that coffee to be prevalent within the beer that I'm producing. So
you're saying it doesn't matter how much you listed that in the description, people will then complain that there's these off flavors that you've clearly listed in the description.
Exactly.
Okay. I got you now.
That's a wonderful beer.
Yeah.
How is the community in San Antonio, the drinking community, how do they respond to big, chewy, high alcohol stouts? I would imagine that in the climate of San Antonio, you wouldn't really be like producing a lot of
So
this stuff.
we have those that are heavily into craft, right?
Yeah.
So for them, this is their jam. This is what they want to come drink when they come to the brewery, that type of stuff.
Okay.
But then we have the people that are still newer to the craft scene, still newer to what we're producing, and they're like, "Oh, this is too thick," or dealing with the like treated stuff. "Oh, this is too much."
Okay, that's gonna happen.
You kind of deal with both aspects of it, and so that's why with some things we try to create a balance so we can kind of hit both aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like I said,
you just make less of it.
Yeah,
right?
dealing. At this point, it's like we've kind of been known for more of the stouts that we're doing, so I'm kind of moving more towards of what I want to do towards the stouts and not trying to appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
Because now it's we're gathering people from other cities within Texas and stuff like that to come kind of fill that void. And so
keep doing it your way.
Yeah, exactly.
They taste good. Keep doing it your way. Everyone else will figure it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is this also in the 20 bricks range?
No, it was a little bit lower. Yeah.
Okay. I've never had that sweet of a beer taste so balanced with all of the other flavors.
Yeah.
It's very
it just tasted like wort,
like chocolatey, cocoa chocolatey nib kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's
you
great.
should enter this.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
GABF.
Yeah.
This one too.
Didn't say it.
Jeez.
It's a World Cup year too,
Yeah.
You got
I think World Cup is coming to San Antonio.
It is. That's right. I just saw that.
Right.
I just
That's
looked it up
exciting.
the other day. The Craft Brewers Conference and the World Beer Cup. We only go on World Beer Cup years because we do the awards.
Okay.
Is in San Antonio, so I will be there in San Antonio with you.
You guys will definitely have to come hang out.
We will.
Absolutely.
Put this beer in there. This is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think this is my favorite beer.
Yeah, it was a
Nice.
little. I just saw it. Well, because Bev was like, "Which beers do you want?" And I said, "All the other ones." And then there was one. There was one too many according to my list. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, we'll taste that at the end. Fuck it."
Yeah.
And took a little sip at the break and was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's even better than the other ones."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that.
It's a nice beer. All right.
That'd be a hard category to enter, though.
Here comes
with
the
all
gray
things.
cloud.
No, I'm saying
Gotta-
which category would you enter it in? Not
That's not what you're
Not
saying.
the-
No, that's not what you're saying at all.
Let me interpret you. Here's what
Yeah.
you're saying. You're gonna have a really hard time in life with this beer. I know you're trying, and you're doing a good job.
Here's where you're going wrong.
But here's where things are gonna be difficult for you.
Yeah. Trust me, I know.
When you get to like the coffee beer or the stouts and barrel aged beers that have all sorts of different things added to it, it makes it hard to pick which category because they have specialty, they have actual coffee category.
Yeah, I did that. Unfortunately, last year I entered a stout into GABF and I entered the wrong category. So I completely understand what you're saying.
Well, Sully, being a super judge.
Yes, hello there. Who's somebody speaking to me?
What do you think you would enter this beer under?
Yeah, definitely. You'll win an IPA. No, I think. Well, I haven't really looked at the categories have kind of morphed from last year to this year, but there's sort of catch-all categories. Other strong ales. There's things where
just straight specialty beer.
This
right?
year, Marcus, you probably know. It's like there's mixed different types of fermentation. There's no base style that you even have to list now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like sort of amorphic kind of like allowable like different ingredients and different fermentation, different styles.
Okay.
So you don't have to list your base style and then what the novel ingredient is anymore.
You don't.
No.
You just say, what do? You just enter it and just.
Well, like if you entered like let's say a coffee category, you'd have to like list like what the base beer, maybe what you used, and then what novel ingredient.
And then what
in
else?
There. Yeah.
Okay. So they catch it.
So now there is definitely like you don't have to list the base style, which is actually confusing as a judge. If I could pull the curtain back a little bit,
yeah,
because you're judging these kind of like, these sort of catch-all categories, and they have to list the style, and so you're not, it doesn't taste like a pilsner with, different types of fruit in it or whatever. It's like
you're guessing
it tastes like a new beer, so you're almost just judging it in sort of a best in show style, which is like, well, let's just judge the beer for on the basis of that beer.
Yeah, not against something else.
Not like it doesn't taste anything like a pilsner. Well, of course it doesn't because it has like 4 different types of fruit and it was put in a barrel or whatever.
Right, but is it well brewed and does it stand out?
Yeah.
Is it nice?
Is it a quality beer? Is it balanced? Is there harmony? That's the big thing about in beer judging or in brewing and judging is there harmony amongst the ingredients?
Okay,
so
I like that word.
I think I might have said too much. I don't think I'm being invited back next year to the GABF, by the way. But
yeah.
Glad I brought that topic up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Warren.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
Yeah, Warren, he did pull a little bit. Well,
this is my last show. He used my real name. I'm in trouble.
That's the chopping block right there. Yeah. Sully will know it too one day. I'll be like, good job, Sean. Like, I don't even know that word's ever crossed my tongue since like
I don't even think you knew my name.
Since the day after I met you, it's been Sully. Well, speaking of Sully, JP.
Yes.
Have you heard of the 21st Amendment's new year-round beer called Spark Ale?
No, I haven't actually.
You know what? It's a 5.5% ABV. Get this.
I'm sitting down.
0 IBU.
What?
Beer.
I think that's incredible.
0.
That's weird.
Nuns.
Damn, dude.
It's a sparkling rosé ale.
Okay.
And it's essentially a hybrid between a cider and a beer.
I feel that's so unique in the marketplace.
It is.
Wow.
They brew it with apple cider juice and grain-based sugar.
Wait, grain-based sugar?
Grain-based sugar.
Man, the people over there at the 21st Amendment in San Leandro and San Francisco
ahead of the curve.
Doing a very good job at pushing the style boundaries.
We haven't. I have to learn the address of San Leandro.
Yeah, it's like 1,300 blocks.
I know. It's not the catchy.
It's 2010. 2010 William Street.
2010 William
through
Street.
Z.
And 563 2nd Street. Then they back sweeten it with peach, cranberry, and cherry juice.
See, I've had similar ones, but they've been front sweetened.
Yeah, this
so
one's
I feel
back.
like the back sweeten would be better.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So, is it a cider?
I don't think so. It
No.
doesn't sound like it.
But it sure tastes like one.
Wow.
Maybe you should just play the old ad.
It's just Andy Wood making fart noises for a minute.
Watch out!
Well, it is the perfect beer for summer, and it's also gluten-free. It's got less than, it's gluten-reduced. It's got less than 10 parts per million of gluten for those who are looking for a good ale alternative to big malty beers. Yes, JP?
What if your name isn't Summer?
then you'd like it as well.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Go check it out. It's Spark Ale. It's a new year-round beer from 21st Amendment, and I've been seeing it on the shelves. I've been consuming it myself.
Oh, nice.
Me and my peers have been enjoying it.
Your peers?
Yes,
Peers?
Yeah.
Thank you.
My beer-drinking friends have been enjoying it. It's a good summertime beer. Go check it out. Spark Ale. Okay, let's close out that window.
We got to figure this out.
Yeah.
This is like so.
I tried to
Every
figure
time
it
you
out
hear
with
it,
you.
it's like
You
I
wouldn't
feel
let
like,
me. You wouldn't
it's like
let
you're
me.
singing me a ballad. And like, it's not singing.
I think it's perfect.
Is this the first live read that we've done live with the person the read's been about?
No, it's happened.
It's the second
one I've been here,
And
just-
it was discussed off air ahead.
Yeah,
not this
we
week.
did. Yeah, we
and
talked
I
about
tried
it.
to talk to Sully about how to do it, and he wouldn't have it.
No, we talked about it. What's interesting was you do it when I'm here. You get bright red. I noticed. You light up like a
It's
like
difficult.
a cherry. You're
It's
very
difficult.
because I'm watching you.
Yeah.
and I'm listening.
That's a difficult part.
He does that when he does a read in front of you, or when I talk about pit bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either one.
I'm gonna use your full. When I use your full name, we may pull the sponsorship. Justin Crosley.
Oh
no!
There you go. Isn't it like Michael or Robert? Isn't that the middle name?
No, my brother's middle name is Michael.
I'll just call you Michael by mistake, and you know there's a problem.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Let's do it, please.
So, I found this article on titled "These Beer Influencers Are Actually Worth Following on Instagram."
Oh.
And it was on.
Well, I know we're not going to be on this list.
Right.
Uproxx. You know this site, Uproxx?
Yeah, Uproxx. Yeah, it's like BuzzFeed, but
I've
for
heard of it.
younger millennials.
Yeah, that's with 2 X's, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to read everybody on it, but I will fast forward that we are not on it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I figured. Have
And
you seen our Instagram page?
Shimky is not on it.
Oh.
And I'm a little.
Who's on it?
I'm not offended, but I do feel like anything digital having to do with beer
Yeah.
should have the Brewing Network at the top of the fucking list. I'm sorry.
I agree, but it does specifically say worth following on Instagram.
Oh, but that's digital.
Well,
And
right,
beer.
but I mean, I don't know if you.
Is our Instagram
I
bad?
don't know if you've seen our Instagram page.
What's wrong with that?
No, it's not.
You don't have a lot of followers.
But I think a lot
Oh
of like
my
the,
God, I will kill you, Sully.
the beer influencers.
We just fought about this last week.
I listened to the show. That's why
I
I'm bringing
think we
it
do
up.
have a lot of followers. How many followers do we
Oh
have?
damn! Black Brew Culture is right up there at the
37,000?
top.
That's nice.
Black
That's tight.
Brew Culture was
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah.
We have more followers than them. They have 11,000 followers.
Yeah, but it's not about followers. It's about
Can you look up how
influence.
many we have?
It's about full.
If you guys are in the
30,000. 30,000.3.
Okay, you can't tell me that followers also somewhere along the way equals influence. What?
No, well,
so a 2,000 follower person can have influence
the
on
trend,
who?
the
2,000 fucking idiots?
The trend now
Yes.
is micro influencers.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It is. It is. I'm telling you. It's like if you want to get like sub 5.
I'm tired of
if
you
have
and your
a-
social media, JP.
I'm just saying, man.
Black Brew Culture.
Have you
Yeah.
followed them? Anybody know of these people?
Yeah, I know a few of them.
I don't mean these people.
I know what you mean.
Oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah. I've
This
seen-
is why we didn't make the list.
Yeah. I follow a
Come
couple
on, that
people
was
that like repost their stuff, but I don't follow them directly.
Well, they say Mike Potter,
I know
I
they
guess who
support
started
Weathered
it.
Souls, so I don't have anything wrong.
There we
Oh,
go.
okay. There you go.
Mike Potter wants to upend the white dude with a beard stereotype that has gripped American craft beer for the better part of
We
3
were just
decades.
talking about that yesterday.
So he founded Black Beer Culture out of his Pittsburgh digs, it says, and the movement and its corresponding Instagram account have been instrumental in bringing wider awareness to Black American brewers and beer lovers who also serving as a spot for novices to learn about beer, blah, blah, blah.
And then they have Fresh Fest coming up too in Pittsburgh.
I was just gonna say, is he the one that puts on the beer festival?
Yeah. So
Yeah, we tried to book him for a while, actually.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fresh Fest is like a all black brewer festival, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's like 4 breweries there.
I think
know
it's like
there's not
I
many
think
of
there's
us,
like
right?
20.
But there's gonna be a few
Wait,
of us this year.
Justin?
Just like
And then they
I mean, what? Y'all were thinking of... No, how many breweries really are there?
what they've started doing is pairing breweries with other breweries, right? So I want to say New Belgium is going to be there this year.
Well, how does that count?
Well, they're pairing with another black vendor in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, there's not many black brewers.
There's
but-
not, exactly.
No, but you
there's
know,
gotta be...
They're doing something good. I guess their first year they did really well. I didn't participate the first year.
Why? You weren't invited?
I was invited. But it was one of those things for me because of where I'm at. I didn't know what the response of it was going to be.
What is? Tell me what that means.
Brew Fest?
Meaning you didn't want to be like pigeonholed into something like that, or what?
Exactly.
Okay, you want to be known as a brewer? Is that like you?
Well, for me, I mean, like I said, there's not many black brewers, but that's not my primary focus. I don't want to be known.
You want
as
to be
a black
broader.
brewer.
You want to like.
I'm a brewer.
So you were concerned that it was like, oh, I don't need a label.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I didn't participate the first year. I'm participating this year.
Okay. Nice.
But they have a pretty good program going. It was pretty successful the first year. Pittsburgh made it a holiday.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I mean,
okay,
it should be a pretty dope event going on this year.
That sounds fun. All right. Well, they were number one on the list right there, if they're in order. Then, and this one I like. I'm a fan, and I'm not a fan of many beer people because I'm a very jealous individual. But
I heard you're the best.
But I am the best.
At being jealous.
You're right.
But this person is the best at what they do, which is like a higher brow version of what I do. And that is Corey Smith over at Good Beer Hunting. He's good. You ever read his stuff? He's good. He's a great writer. He's got a great perspective. He really takes time. He's more into beer than I am. I'm into the people. I'm into I like the stories. I like the culture. He's really into the beer, and he does a good job representing it. So I like that he's on there as their number 2. Less followers than us, by the way. Just want to fucking point that out.
Well, you know what? Hey, man, look, if you go with the attitude that every follower, like on Twitter, 40% off the top, bots and junk accounts,
right.
Then all those numbers don't mean anything.
Okay, well, if you take 40% off our numbers, we still have more.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying.
I'll give you that, and we're still above.
Yeah.
So I'm bothered by that part. Except Corey belongs on the list.
See, well, there you go.
I'm pretty sure, and I haven't looked at it in a couple of hours, but I scrolled down the rest of the list. Every other person on the list is a female Instagram influencer.
Very beautiful.
Of varying degrees of sexiness in their photos. Some of them don't rely on sexiness. Others are in a full-on bikini top. And I'll let you decide how the follower ratio goes as you. And I'm not saying some of them are brewers at different breweries. I'm not saying that takes away from their credibility. I'm just pointing out that everybody else on the list is a female of varying degrees of their own photos that they take of themselves. Sexiness.
Most of the time, they got the titties out.
So yeah.
So you're saying we're gonna have to start wearing bikinis in all of our appearances on the BN Instagram?
I think that would help.
Cheeks out.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I've always wanted to do like a parody
Except
account
me, I'm wearing a wetsuit.
of recreating some of these photos, but as a guy, just to see. But I've never done it.
Wait though, I want to be clear. I'm not saying they don't have other merits. That wasn't my point. Some of them actually, I might go and have a look because they have careers in beer, and it's not. I'm saying not all of them are just using sex. That was not my point.
No.
But the ratio of followers has to do with which ones are using sex. Is all.
That's 100% true.
That's all I mean. And then so it just kind of keeps going.
So you're saying is you think the
Female,
sex part is sort of influencing the followers.
The follower part.
Got it. I wasn't sure that.
Yeah.
I mean, whether that was the intention or not, it's the result. So, you're watching me scroll, you can just kind of see. Anyway, go to Uprocks, you can look, and you can complain that we're not on the list. That's really what my problem is that we're not on the fucking list.
Well, not enough. We don't have enough skin.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will say this, though. You're right, Beardy. If I found Shimky on that list, I would be very...
very upset.
Be very upset.
Yeah.
Like we made her. She thinks it's the other way. She thinks it's the other way around.
I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah.
I think it might. I might have read
Sully,
that
somewhere.
Sean. Yes.
Jonathan
yes,
Sully
Michael.
O'Sullivan.
There'll be 2 new co-hosts next week.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened to Sully? You don't want to know.
He's dead to us.
Yeah.
All right, one more bit of beer news I wanted to put in here. And this was a little article about whether or not Anheuser-Busch InBev can show craft beer the way back to growth.
What is that?
What?
That sounds like a nonsense article.
Yeah.
Well, I thought so too, and then I read into it, and it did have a specific item to talk about, and I thought this was interesting because I've noticed it on the shelves myself. And that was, essentially, craft beer is not seeing the meteoric rise that it had been on.
Right.
It's
still going up.
Still going up, absolutely.
It was like 12%. Now it's like 3% or something like that.
And whatever it is, it's not in decline.
Yeah.
So it's still something everybody talks about. But the point the article was making, and it was two sides of the story. And it's about a 15-pack. It was specifically focused on a 15-pack. And the reason Anheuser-Busch was brought up is that because the breweries that they have bought, they have focused on this craft beer. Obviously, by definition, they're not craft beer, but they're calling it craft beer 15-pack. And that it has resulted in they basically reduce the price, but sales are going way up, so that some breweries, like I think they use Breckenridge as an example, who got bought by Anheuser-Busch, seeing sales rise by 50%.
Whoa.
By offering this 15-pack that kind of sits in the middle. And Jim Cook even, there's a quote from Jim Cook at the end where he's a little concerned about the 15-pack, but he makes a good point where it's like, what consumers are seeing with the 15-pack is they're like, well, it's almost like a 12-pack, but I get 3 free beers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a
so I'm
value
going to buy this whether it's craft or not. So they're buying from 10 Barrel. Okay. They're buying from Golden Road. They're buying from whoever might be putting it out at a price that I feel like I'm getting 3 free
Well, that's
beers.
exactly what happened. I mean, Founders with the All Day was kind of the instigator of that. They started that whole thing with the 15-pack. And it was really kind of sold on price because it was essentially like you're getting 15 beers, but like you said, you're paying for 12.
Yeah.
And so we jumped on board on that.
Yeah.
And we were like, we got to do this. This is awesome. This is going to get us a lot more placements on the East Coast. And it was a huge, big, thing for us. But if you kind of looked at the margins on it, it was a bit of a challenge.
Sure.
Because you're not making what you think you'd make. Now, a company like Anheuser-Busch,
they don't have to.
They don't have to worry about it because if they make a nickel off each one, it doesn't matter because the volume's like through the roof.
So
we pulled back. We went back to from 15 to 12s.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we're not. We don't do that anymore because it wasn't cost effective. And the other thing that's interesting, I don't think anybody talks about, is the fact that when you put a 15-pack, physically put a 15-pack on a shelf in a grocery store, it takes up way more space than a 12-pack.
Yeah.
And so your like your large grocery store chains are not particularly fond of it because they have to restock it more. There's more. You have to pay attention to
That's
that.
actually true.
I see.
I was at the store the other day and I used to see the Founders 15-packs.
Yeah.
I don't see any 15-packs. It's all the 6-packs now, or maybe some 12-packs. But there's so many breweries crammed in the same amount of space. They're not buying larger refrigerators.
Yeah.
They're just kind of consolidating everything. So I would see 15-packs as more of a hindrance almost.
Well, I didn't think about the stock.
It.
Yeah.
I mean, they like it because you're paying less for more, basically.
So I'm an honest guy. I'm just going to say I bought a Founders 15-pack this weekend. Wow. I was going to a 4th of July barbecue where I knew that I was going to drink. I knew that I was going to drink 2 of the beers that I brought, and all of the attendees of the barbecue were going to dive into the cooler and drink the rest. And I'm telling you, the same thought went through my head. I was like, 3 extra beers for the price of the other one. Founders, I don't mind. It's a good beer. And threw it in the cooler, just as I thought. I drank 2, and everyone drank the rest. But I think that the point is still being made about the devaluing of good beer, and Jim Cook was worried about that. The article does point out, though, that the fan favorite among most craft brewers is still the 4-pack. The whether that be a 4-pack 16-ounce or a 4-pack higher end 12, whatever you're doing, and you're still getting a premium price as a craft brewer, and I think that most of us still feel like we're getting a premium beer, and that has not gone away at all. Mm-hmm. But there's this worry, at least among craft brewers, is the 15-pack going to save us or kill us?
Well, I mean, there's that, but I mean, in general, it's like you just don't want the price to drop. I mean, nobody wants to start selling on price. That's a danger. And so the thing about with large breweries like Anheuser-Busch is they don't want it to do it either because they're already fighting in the middle, with their, Budweiser, and so with their premium lagers. But so they want that higher price point for their craft products.
Right.
And so they would rather not see that go down. So I just think it's I think they're just offering that as sort of a distraction almost to get the consumer into the 15-pack, get them into what they're selling on price, and then they'll buy something else.
Well, check this out. I think you'll find
it's like when you go to the store and you see Band-Aids or something's on sale, and you like
Band-Aids,
whatever it is, Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You're an old man.
I have. I now have like a case of
I was in the
Band-Aids
hospital a
because
month ago.
They
Come
got
on, leave
me
me alone.
in once, and I was like, these Band-Aids are the best.
Suckers me in.
I was trying to think of a consumer product where you go and you buy it and you see it like it's on sale all the time, and then it drops off sale, and you might still buy it.
You still stick with it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Band-Aids.
So one thing I would worry about that was actually a deal a couple years ago here in the state of California was Anheuser-Busch was lobbying to increase the amount of money that they could essentially give to retailers.
Oh.
And so all they have to do is get those types of bills passed, and then, hey, look, Anheuser-Busch buys the stores new shelves that it can accommodate.
Well, then that's back to where we were.
Well, you can't do that. But I mean, what you're saying, you're talking about a bill that was passed basically to give away free goodies at like an event. Is what I think you're saying, like like a tasting. Like I don't know how much it is now, but they wanted to increase it to like let's say $3.
Right.
So like the good folks at Tom McCormick at the California Craft Brewers Association, who's like essentially fighting for all of our rights out there in terms of craft beer in California, Marcus. I'm sorry.
Right.
But, and so is a lobbying effort out there to kind of keep, them in check. And so.
Yeah. What I
you got to do because you don't want free stuff.
Yeah. Sully, I want you to listen to these numbers.
Sorry,
because I found this interesting.
Let's talk about Band-Aids.
So here's, because you're talking about how these big breweries can also afford, these kind of discounts. That it's not that big a deal. So here's 4 brands, and I think these are all AB brands. And then I'm gonna wrap it up with a fake craft brand.
Oh.
So Blue Point Brewing's Toasted Lager. They've reduced that by $4.30. That's down to $31.82 a case.
For a 15-pack?
A case.
24.
Okay.
So now we're at a case.
Wow.
But it's kind of giving the
$13 for a case?
That's crazy.
$31.82 for a quote unquote craft brand case.
Okay,
Let me get through them. The point will be made at the end.
All right.
Four Peaks, they have a lager. They're down a little over $4 too. They're at like $32 a case. Golden Road, their 15-pack. This one is $26. Goose Island, an AB brand, right? Their case is $22. Now here's the kicker. Miller Coors' own little fake brand, 10th and Blake. Mm-hmm. We worked for them at one time,
That's
JP.
Right. Yeah.
10th and Blake.
Best job I ever had.
Their average case, over $41.
Wow.
What?
And this is kind of your point, Sully, where like they're gonna do this thing where they can afford to sort of lose money, but they're still gonna hold on to some premium. Or they're going to snap back. They're going to surprise us with what's premium. Mm-hmm. So they're keeping their own 10th and Blake brand as premium while reducing some of the craft that they bought, like Golden Road, for example. And by doing those 15 packs for Golden Road, they're saying this. What is it? IRI? These people,
that's what was scanned across the grocery store shelf or checkout.
They saw a 52% gain in sales by dropping the price, offering a 15-pack, losing margin, obviously, right?
Right.
But then again, keeping their own little fake craft brands as super premium up above all of the others, and it's a sneaky little game, is why I'm pointing it out.
I wonder how much of that is the price drop versus the 15-pack. And did they A/B test it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, IRI data is if you sell your beer in large grocery store chains, it's like that's what you live and die by. And that's what grocery stores pay attention to.
Okay.
National sales.
They don't care about
companies.
the other numbers. Okay.
Well, they want to know if it's moving. You want to know what the velocity is and points of distribution, and how much they're making on each package they're selling and all that. So it's that's impressive. And so if you see that kind of data, let's say you're doing a presentation and say we're up 52%, they go like, all right,
that's a big number.
That's a big number, and they might slot you in somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
and
I do not sound like a brewer right now at all.
No. I like to read this every now and then because I've said this before. I feel like I can tend to be insulated in our little beer nerd world where we don't pay attention to this kind of stuff. We can talk about it. We can comment on it.
Yeah.
And I can give you my little stupid opinion about it. All right. But I'm not living or dying by it, kind of like you're saying, Sully. So every now and then. So in other words, to me, you tell me Golden Road's growing. Anecdotally, I'm like, no, they're not. Who gives a fuck about Golden Road anymore?
No, they're
okay.
growing.
Well, clearly I'm wrong.
They are. Yeah.
Somebody gives a fuck.
Well, they
And-
bought those breweries. They
you
want
know.
them to perform, so they're going to do everything they can to make them perform. And they're going
Right.
to. I mean, they're great at that stuff. I mean, they're great at like marketing, margin. They're great. They're compressing it, but they're making it up on volume. So it's it's big business, folks.
And for me, it's good to read this stuff so I can realize that outside of my little insular beer nerd world, it matters, and they're still growing.
Yeah.
Which is annoying, but true. All right. That's our beer news for
But
today.
are they?
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
Yeah. Tune in next week when Sully says... all right.
You see here, we brought them all out.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you heard about Spark Ale, JP?
No, I haven't. Isn't that the Golden Road's new 15-pack?
No. All right. What was our Twitter game today?
If you haven't heard enough from Sully, you're going to hear a little bit more.
Right. Sully's writing a cookbook, and he needs recommendations for dish names or dishes.
Okay.
I don't know. He wasn't very clear to me in his email before the show, so I blame him.
All right.
All right. First up, Joshua says this dish is called Nico Hates Justin Hot Dish.
Nico does hate me, and that's a great dish name.
Okay.
I feel like.
All right. It's a lovely dish made with generous amounts of salt and spite.
Yeah. What did you do to Nico?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But...
It just happened at one point in our lives where
he was talking to Nico, and he went, and that was it.
Yeah.
Breathing.
It's so he thinks he wanted to pretend I don't know, but I knew very early on. It's like, wow, this guy just does not like me.
He would say to me, Is Justin coming over, Sean? He might. I have to go wash the trees.
Or Sully, like
stand over here.
Sully's not just a friend. Sully's like a fan, so he'll invite me to do events and things too. And he's like, "Oh, okay, Justin's doing this event with us. Okay, all right, okay, all right." It's just like that.
Guess
Okay,
it's okay.
Ben the brewer says Sully's famous aged sausage platter called "It Works Enough." I think it's a penis joke, but I don't know.
It might be. I don't know. Let me check.
I like it. That's a good one.
Brian King says, "Have you had it in the can? Beer can chicken."
Okay,
I like that.
Pretty there. Ramsey says, "Bitter American, a hop and grain salad with the dressing of JP's tears." Which I have a lot of.
I got to let that sink in.
Yeah.
I'll write it down.
Sure, man. Why not? What do you got to lose? Ink?
Right.
Ink is cheap. You write it off. Austin says, "The Back in Black. Its description reads, this will make a wonderfully dark dish that you can then take away and never serve again." Jeez. Because they're killing Back in
Yeah,
Black.
it's gone. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that.
That was
Let's
Steve-
stay on the game. Stay on the game.
That's a fan.
I don't
Next
even
week.
pay attention.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take that off the list.
Justin, have you heard of Back in Black?
Yeah. The AC/DC song?
Sure.
Yeah, that one.
Never gets played. And then finally, Scotty writes in and says, "Watch out! It's made with real monk." That's a dish. Watch out. Made.
I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard it.
All right, I wrote down 4.
Okay, what are they?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, for that topic,
That's it. I mean, hey, man.
That
you're,
awesome
It
Twitter
was
game.
wordy.
What?
that shit worked out good. All right, my paraphrasing, as I always do. Nico hates Justin.
Yep.
Is the first one.
Nico hates Justin. Hot dish.
Hot dish.
Hot dish.
Yeah.
It's served cold.
That's the twist.
Aged sausage.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
It works enough.
It works enough. All right.
Those are my top 2, I got to say right there.
Okay.
Have you had it in a can?
Yeah, I like that one. It's
Yeah.
pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
But, still good.
It goes with Sully's branding, I feel like.
I feel like it's right in
It's
line.
on point.
Yeah. And then finally, Bitter American doused with JP's tears.
Okay.
Is that basically it?
Yeah. I mean, I did like the Back in Black because from Austin, it's very clearly someone who it's tied in with Sully's product line, and is very bitter. Brand.
Oh, I see.
Beer
Beer.
product.
Say beer. Say
Right.
beer.
Beer product line.
No, that one's out.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm looking out for Sully here. That one's out.
Thank you.
All right.
Remember, it's like Matt was okay. For example, Matt was okay with me being mad about Pill 31 being gone, and I can talk about it on the air.
Yeah.
David Walker, not so much. He was kind of like, could you guys shut the fuck up a little bit? Did we have to make such a big thing about this beer disappearing? No. So I'm going to look out for something. I'm going to Back in Black.
You can talk all you want about it because one day it might come back.
Oh.
In black?
Back and back.
Back.
We're working on the name. Don't worry. That was just floating that one out there. Your little test audience.
We're
there.
gonna go. Black is back. No, we can't use that one.
Back is black.
Back is black. No, that's not gonna
Maybe, but
work.
sort of.
Back in black, just like it ever was.
Back again in black.
Back again.
All right,
let's
still
vote.
here in black.
Everybody raise your hand. Everybody gets to vote on the 4. So once again, a recap. Nico Hates Justin is 1. Aged sausage. It works just enough. Have you had it in the can? And Bitter American, doused in JP's tears. Those are your 4 choices. Raise your hand if it's Nico Hates Justin.
Hot dish.
That's
4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, 5.
That's a winner.
I already won. Yeah. Already won.
Bev gets 2 votes, so she could still tie it, right?
Okay, she could tie it. Aged sausage. It works enough. That's 4. That's Bev's other vote, which means Nico Hates Justin is the winning recipe.
Yeah.
Right there.
And how about this? Last week, Josh, the same one who won, was the last entry that I recorded. Today, he was the first, and he won.
Okay.
So what do you think of that?
It's fascinating.
Wow. Have you
No
heard
idea
of
what that
sparking?
means.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Grain-based sugars.
It means keep trying.
All right. I think we're done, right?
Sure, dude.
We are done. Marcus, thanks again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Good
it.
show. And for
It's a
putting
bucket
up with
list
us.
item for sure.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you said you're a Brew Strong listener, right?
So when I first started home brewing, 7 years ago?
Okay.
Like Brew Strong was literally what I used to listen to all day at Citibank, like in my headphones. So
Nice.
Sunday sessions, sour note, all that type of stuff. So.
Oh, man. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, Marcus, I mean, honestly, you're part of the new wave, man. You're doing good
Appreciate
stuff.
it.
You're making great beer.
Yeah, you are.
So, Craft Brewers Conference in San Antonio. I know that's a
Come
little
check
ways
us out.
away, but we'll be there.
We're planning right now. We're
Perfect.
making flights and hotel plans now.
We'll go to, next April. And just go check them out at weatheredsouls.beer. It's good stuff. You're going to want to go find it and drink it. Also, good luck and well wishes to your family, who I love very much.
Thank
They're
you.
such nice people all the time.
Except
even Terrence.
No.
Even
Even Terrence, huh?
Even
you
Terrence.
guys got to
We're
get
gonna
him
go there.
brewing again.
Get that recipe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Try
right.
it, man. I'll make
Lean
it happen.
into it.
It was fun to talk to every single one of you, so thanks for doing all that. Next week on the show, Toasted Barrel is on the program. I don't even know where they're from, but we'll...
Great host.
Figure
Best
that
host
out.
on the internet.
Figure that out next year.
Utah?
Next month, next week. I don't know.
I might be making that up, but I think Utah.
You are usually...
Bev comes in with the question answer.
By the way, my producer is always worse than me, even. Utah?
I didn't reach out to this brewery. This is JP's baby.
I see.
Oh, that's right.
The
Yeah,
brew-
Liz
Yeah, so
from
suck
Toasted
it.
Barrel, dude.
Our
Yeah.
new motto. The
Salt
Brewing
Lake City.
Network. Who can we pass the buck to? I mean, that
Salt
is
Lake
the
City,
Brewing
Utah.
Network's-
Lynn will be in studio,
Okay.
flying out for this show.
Is that right?
Whoa.
I might not be here. I got to talk to you about that after that.
Oh man,
I got to go back to Colorado. We'll talk.
you have to. You don't gotta.
I do. The question is, am I drive it? I have to drive. And how fast do I want to drive?
Very fast.
You need me. Okay, we'll talk about that.
The brakes might catch on
Toasted
fire.
Barrel on the program next week, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be wonderful. No matter what happens,
Hell
it'll
yeah.
be great. I'm certain of it.
They're a big beer brewing network listener. Beer Network, the Beer Brewers Network listener.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Yeah.
They're back.
Again.
I will say this.
Yeah.
We are kind of back.
Okay.
The feedback I got at the Homebrewers Conference and
Yeah.
I've been getting from listeners, I think you see it kind of in the feedback. We're back on our stride, JP.
Okay.
Now, I don't know about these guys over the beardy and whatever.
No.
You and I, though?
Yeah.
We're back on top.
Really?
We're
are?
back on our stride.
Hey, what about me?
You're all right.
Also, Salt Lake City, Utah. I nailed it.
I just said that 5 minutes ago.
No,
I don't listen when you talk.
in all seriousness, the whole thing, bringing in Sully and Pasuti, and everyone's been on top of their game lately, and I got a lot of really good and positive feedback, so I'm proud of all of you.
Cool.
Not that we ever left, per se, but, these things can ebb and flow. We're 14 years into this thing.
Sometimes,
And,
we're angsty teenagers.
We are. And listen, that's about where we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the listeners gave you a lot of good feedback about where we're at. So good job,
good.
everybody.
Good. I'm sure that was really comfortable to hear.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I know. Midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I give you some feedback? No.
Okay.
I'm drunk.
All right, take us away, JP. We're getting out of here.
Call me Calgon. I'll take you away. Thank you to our show sponsor, More Beer. You can get absolutely everything you need to make great beer at home by going to morebeer.com. Marcus from Weathered Souls Brewing Company in San Antonio, Texas, flew out and joined us in the studio to talk sours, stouts, and how to greet your family properly. Check him out over at weatheredsouls.beer. Head over to etsy.com/coveyears and buy some of my Disneyland-themed crap so I can pay for my brain transplant that I desperately need. Get on Twitter for some good beer insight and homebrew info. Follow Nate Smith at Nathan Homebrew, Mike McDowell at Tasty McD. Warren is stuck over at Another Beardy. JP knows Twitter is dead, so he's on Instagram at Major Jip. Sully is there as well at Sean O'Sullivan, and you can find Bevo there at Beverly M. Moore. Be sure to find the Brewing Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
JP's an asshole. Justin's a nice guy and winning the race. JP does great as his charity case.